Chapter 1461. Behind the wooden door was an office. It was not very big, with a desk and a bookshelf, which was filled with books. Charlotte's gaze followed the sound of the motor and finally stopped on the bookshelf. Passing through the bookshelves, he saw a hidden space. A few steel ropes were in motion, and an elevator was rising rapidly under the pull of the steel ropes. Charlotte retracted his gaze and looked towards the bottom of the nest. He looked in the direction where the elevator was, but what he saw was a huge rock. He soon discovered that the rock was also an artificial rock with a high degree of simulation. Charlotte thought to himself, placing artificial rocks outside can be explained as a way to avoid detection, but to do the same inside, who are they guarding against? Aren't everyone here the Heavenly Jewel Academy staff? For some reason, although he had only been in the Heavenly Jewel Academy for a short period of time, Charlotte had a strange feeling. He kept feeling that something was wrong, but he could not put his finger on it. The elevator stopped, and before the doors opened, Charlotte ended his vision. He had to be careful. The branded warriors were already very powerful. How could Principal Roland, who was in charge of the Heavenly Jewel Academy, be an ordinary person? Retracting his gaze, Suya's clothes returned to her body, and her snow-white buttocks and thighs disappeared. However, in Charlotte's mind, there was still a trace of the snow scene, as well as the mysterious mark within it. I don't know what happened, but Leader asked me to bring you here, but the principal isn't here, Suya said apologetically. Charlotte said, "It's fine. If he isn't here, we can wait." Right at that moment, footsteps sounded from inside the room, and the door opened. A tall old man with long white hair walked out. His face was full of wrinkles, and he looked very old, but his pair of blue eyes were deep and wise, as if he could see through people's hearts. It was an unforgettable sight. "Principal Roland," Suya said respectfully, "I have brought Mr. Xia and Commander Kong too here." This white-haired old man was Principal Roland, the principal of the Heavenly Jewel Academy. In front of Roland, Suya addressed Kanta Nana as Commander Kantu instead of Nana Jia. Although it was just a change in the way they addressed each other, Charlotte could sense the respect and fear that Roland had for him and Suya, as well as the power and authority that Roland had in the Heavenly Jewel Master Academy. Roland nodded and shifted his gaze to Charlotte. Xiaolei did not avoid his line of sight, but he lowered his gaze a little. He purposely lowered his stance. "This must be Mr. Charlotte Xia, right?" Roland took the initiative to ask Charlotte, looking quite polite. Charlotte smiled. "Yes, I am Charlotte. Hello, Roland's courtyard. Nice to meet you." With that, he took the initiative to stretch out his hands to shake hands with Roland. Roland reached out a hand and shook hands with Charlotte. The moment Charlotte's hand touched Roland's, he was slightly stunned. Roland's hand was very cold, without any warmth. This was the interior of a volcano, and the temperature outside had little effect on it. The temperature here should be around 20 degrees, which was very suitable. How could his hand be so cold? "Commander Kantu, I haven't seen you in 2 years. You're still so beautiful," Roland greeted Kanta Nana. "Dean Roland, you're still so energetic and healthy," Kanta Nana said politely. Kanta Nana said politely. She did not show any displeasure at being snubbed by Roland just now. In Charlotte's eyes, although Kanta Nana was the commander-in-chief of the resistance, Roland did not put her in his eyes at all. "Come in and talk," Roland said as he walked in. "I fell asleep just now. I'm getting old, and I'm getting more and more useless." Charlotte thought to himself, this guy clearly took the elevator up, but he said he fell asleep. What is he hiding? After entering the office, Roland asked Suya to make 2 cups of tea for Charlotte and Kanta Nana. It was the first time that Charlotte had tea since he came to this world. The taste made him feel homesick again. "Mr. Xia, we've received some information about you. My intuition tells me that you're a man with a lot of stories." Before Charlotte had a few more sips of tea, Roland started the topic. "In the information we received, one of them said that you lost your memory. Is that true?" Charlotte said, "It's true. I've forgotten a lot of things. But as I worked hard, I did remember some things during this time." "Then have you remembered who you used to be?" Roland's question hit the nail on the head. Charlotte shook his head. "Not really." Roland frowned slightly. "Then what did you remember?" Charlotte thought for a moment before saying, I remembered the violent explosion, the fire, the Blue Moon People's battleship. He grabbed his hair with a pained expression. I also heard a voice. It told me that I must live, that I must fight. Then it mentioned the Heavenly Jewel Academy. Huh? Roland stared at Charlotte. What did it mention about the Heavenly Jewel Academy? Charlotte said, only one name. I didn't know about the Heavenly Jewel Academy before, but I thought that the voice wouldn't mention it for no reason. So I wanted to come to the Heavenly Jewel Academy to take a look. I thought that as long as I went to the Heavenly Jewel Academy, I might be able to find some clues and find my past. Nana also stared at Xia Lei with her eyes wide open. This was the first time she heard Charlotte say this. She was a little surprised and confused. Is that true? Roland asked. Xia Lei smiled bitterly. I don't know either. What I've recalled are just some incomplete memory fragments. I can only piece those fragments together to this extent. That was the highest level of lying. Roland was silent for a while before saying, That is a very strange thing. I have never seen you before, nor have I heard of you. Yet you thought that you could find clues in the Heavenly Jewel Academy, and you actually came. After a pause, his tone suddenly changed. Mr. Xia, do you know that you're being very selfish? Huh? Charlotte looked puzzled. Roland said, In order to find your lost memories, you asked Commander Kong to bring you to the Heavenly Jewel Academy. Have you ever thought that doing so might expose our location, and we might be attacked by the Blue Moon people? Charlotte said, I'm sorry. I admit that I am being a little selfish. However, that is not the main reason I came to the Heavenly Jewel Academy. The main reason I came to the Heavenly Jewel Academy is to return to you what you lost. I feel that you need it very much. Roland said, Among the reasons you requested to visit the Heavenly Jewel Academy, there was indeed a description of an important item, but it did not say what it was. I have always been curious about what it is. Charlotte shifted his gaze to Kong Tu Nana. Commander Kong Tu, give it to Dean Roland. Kong Tu Nana stood up and took out a portable hard drive. She held it with both hands and placed it on the desk in front of Roland. What's in it? Roland asked. Kong Tu Nana said, Project E's experiment records and some related data. This was snatched from Blackbeard by Mr. Xia. Hani Fei is still researching this project in the desolate city, and this portable hard drive is a copy. It is very important, and I think it is necessary to bring it to the Heavenly Jewel Academy. Charlotte observed the change in Roland's expression from the corner of his eye. There was no obvious change in Roland's expression, and he still looked very calm. However, this calmness only lasted for about a second. A second later, he suddenly stood up and grabbed the portable hard drive in his hands. He said excitedly, Thank you so much. We lost Professor Pompey, and we thought we had lost Project E. I did not expect you to bring it back. On behalf of the Heavenly Jewel Academy, I thank you. Kong Tu Nana said with a smile, I am just a guarantor. Mr. Xia risked his life to snatch it back from Blackbeard. You should be the one to thank the most, not me. Xia Lei thought to himself, her acting skills are really good. When he heard Kong Tu Nana talk about the contents of the hard drive, he was not surprised at all. In fact, he was even indifferent. After a moment of hesitation, he pretended to be surprised. I'm afraid AE has long been researched. Otherwise, Ma Kuan would not have AE energy on him. However, why did he hide it on purpose? Mr. Xia, your actions have been a great help to us. Tell us, how should we thank you? Roland said. Charlotte collected his thoughts and smiled. I don't want any reward. I just want to stay here for a while. Honorable Dean Roland, if only you could give me permission to walk around freely. I will be very grateful. Roland said, That's not a problem. You can walk around freely here, including this office. Charlotte said, Thank you, Dean Roland. Roland stood up and said, I wanted to chat with you a little longer, but I want to take a look at such an important thing that you sent me. How about this? You go back first, and we'll talk next time. Okay, goodbye, Dean Roland, Charlotte said as he stood up. Goodbye, Dean Roland. Kong Tu Nana also stood up and said goodbye. Suya bowed slightly to Roland, and then left the office with Charlotte and Kong Tu Nana. After walking out of Roland's office, Kong Tu Nana said, "Mr. Xia, did you really remember something?" Charlotte revealed a painful expression. "Yes, I remembered something. Not only that explosion, but I also remembered a woman." "Who is she?" Kong Tu Nana regretted asking this question. So he also looked back at Charlotte curiously. "My mother," Xiaolei said. "The place where we live is on a mountain. It's full of wildflowers. Yes, yes." Before Charlotte could exaggerate his memories, Suya interrupted Charlotte. "Mr. Xia, I happen to be free. Where do you want to go? I could be your guide." Charlotte's gaze crossed the dangerous, heavenly road and landed at the bottom of the beehive. Then he said, "Why don't we start from the bottom?" Kong Tunana said, "Suya, I want to go to the place where the branded warriors train. Can you take me there?" Suya said, "Of course not for others, but you're my sister Nana. Of course I'll take you there. Let's go. Our training base is also at the bottom. Let's go there first." The two women chatted as they walked down. Charlotte followed behind them, and the two plump buttocks wriggled in his sight, which was extremely seductive. But he still shifted his gaze to the artificial rock, and he couldn't help but wonder what's hidden behind it. Chapter 1462. Accompanied by the two women, Charlotte walked to the bottom of the Tianju Institute. The two women chatted and laughed along the way, and Charlotte rarely interrupted. However, he did not stay idle, observing the Heavenly Jewel Institute along the way. Along the way, many people greeted Shuya and then looked at Charlotte curiously. There were very few unfamiliar faces in this place, and it was no wonder they were curious. Charlotte walked around the bottom and finally stopped in front of the library. The library was huge, and the space inside could fit at least a basketball court. It had 3 floors, and each floor had countless books. Many students and scholars were reading inside. Although there were many people in the library, there was no noise at all. It was very quiet, and the atmosphere of learning was especially strong. Charlotte said, "I'll go in and take a look. Why don't you go to the training base?" "How can that be? We agreed that I would be your guide. If you don't go, who am I going to be your guide?" She said. Charlotte said, "You can be Commander Kong Tu's guide. You guys go ahead, I won't be going. I want to read in the library." Shuya still wanted to persuade Charlotte, but Kong Tu Nana said, "Forget it, Shuya. Let's go. Mr. Xia injured Ma Kuan, and it would be bad if he went and caused any more trouble." Xia Lei smiled. "That's exactly what I'm thinking. Commander Kanto, go and take a good look. Just let me know when you return." "And all right, we'll be going then." Kong Tu Nana and Shuya left. Xia Lei watched as the two women left. Both of them had especially slender waists and sexy buttocks. Walking side by side, they formed a scenery that was especially pleasing to the eye. Charlotte actually wanted to go, as he might find more clues about AE if he went to the training base of the branded warriors. However, he suppressed this desire. Compared to going to the training base of the branded warriors, he would rather stay in a library and read the books of this world. There is a huge collection of books here, and it was very comprehensive. It was impossible to find a library like this anywhere else. Reading is the easiest way to understand the world. Moreover, even if he didn't go to the training base of the branded warriors, he still had a way to understand the situation inside, and that was Kana Nana. When Kanta Nana returned, he would be able to invade her brain and download everything she saw and heard in the branded warrior training base into his brain. How different would that be from him going there himself? Charlotte entered the library. Because there were no outsiders in this place, the library didn't even have a manager. No one asked him anything when he went in, and no one stopped him when he chose the books. Everyone was engrossed in their books, and almost no one noticed the existence of an outsider like him. Charlotte chose World History and Legend of the Holy Thunder. The first book was a very formal history book, and the second was a biography written by an author named Xianyu. After choosing these two books, Charlotte came to an empty desk and sat down to read. Actually, he wasn't reading but scanning. Xia Lei awakened the ability of his eyes, and then he controlled it to a level that was just enough for him to scan through 2 books. The contents of the 2 books were scanned in a few minutes. Not to mention a word, not even a punctuation mark was left out. Sentences emerged in his brain, and his brain worked quickly to extract the key points from the information and organize them. Our ancestors came from the distant Earth to open up wastelands, build factories, and build our civilization. The era led by the Holy Thunder was the most powerful era in the history of the entire human race. But even so, the area we developed was quite limited. The endless ocean, the forest of no return, the great Maha Desert. These are places we can't develop. The climate in these places is harsh, giving birth to powerful creatures. These creatures are difficult to conquer, and they impede the speed of human development of this planet. When the organized text appeared here, Charlotte's thoughts suddenly stopped, and his heart was filled with surprise and curiosity. This world history is a very formal history book. When did humans come to this planet? Who organized it? How did they discover this planet, the early construction, and so on? All this information should be recorded in detail, but how come there isn't even a starting time? This was a very strange thing. The era of the Holy Thunder was 1,000 years ago. According to the level of technology at that time, it was impossible that even the most basic data could not be preserved, right? The buildings of that era still existed. Charlotte suddenly remembered Queen of Rest description. Could it be that the humans of this world were really the seeds that were sown by the stone city origin? But even if it was sown, there should be a planting time, right? While Charlotte was thinking about these questions, his brain also maintained a high speed. He scanned and filtered all the content in the world history again, looking for relevant records. The results came out quickly. The entire world history did not have a definite time description. Charlotte temporarily gave up and continued to comb through the new content. The Blue Moon people suddenly invaded. With more powerful technology and an evil philosophy of survival, human civilization could not withstand a single blow from the Blue Moon people's fleet. Cities were destroyed one after another, and countless people lost their homes and even their lives in the flames of war. In the most dangerous time for humanity, the Holy Thunder stepped down from his altar and went to the powerful creatures that lived on this planet for help. He experienced many difficulties, and many of the powerful creatures on this planet formed an alliance with him. Then, he launched the final battle against the Blue Moon people. The Holy Thunder and the alliance he formed were defeated in the end, and his body has not been found to this day. Legend has it that his body turned into countless pieces in that big explosion and scattered all over the planet. But until today, no one has found his bones, not even any relics related to him. However, the sacrifice of the Holy Thunder gave the humans precious time to breathe. The king of the Blue Moon people also died in that battle, and the Blue Moon people were greatly weakened. They urgently needed the human population to recover their strength. This was also the reason why the Blue Moon people sealed off this planet, but did not completely destroy the humans. But this kind of survival was undoubtedly a great tragedy for the humans. The king of the Blue Moon people died in battle, and the Blue Moon people sealed off the entire world, but did not completely destroy the humans. This seemed to be one of the things that Charlotte learned from scanning the complete world history. Another thing that he learned was the history of the Heavenly Jewel Academy. What surprised Charlotte was that the Heavenly Jewel Academy had existed since the Holy Thunder era. Its history was as long as the history of the human colonization of this planet. In the history of the human world, it played the role of the highest institution of learning. Human civilization was destroyed, but the Heavenly Jewel Academy still stood tall. The world history described it as the seed of hope for mankind, the spark of the revival of human civilization, the spiritual castle of mankind, and so on. The person who compiled this history book was not stingy with his praise. However, he found another problem. The part about the Heavenly Jewel Academy did not have a specific date of its establishment. The book only mentioned that it existed since the Holy Thunder era, how much it contributed, what honors and achievements it received, and so on. The only thing that it did not mention was the name and time of its founder. Charlotte's purpose of entering this library was to understand this world, but he did not expect to be even more confused. What is going on? Are the people in this world not curious about this question? Are there no historians to study this question? Charlotte thought hard about these questions. His brain began to sort out the contents of the legend of the Holy Thunder. After a few minutes, Charlotte could not help but hold his chin with his hand, a bitter smile on his face. In the legend of the Holy Thunder, there was not even a date when the Holy Thunder was born. Most of what was written was that the Holy Thunder led mankind to build human civilization, and the story of the battle with the Blue Moon people. The writer sang praises of the Holy Thunder and did his best to flatter him. What made Charlotte depressed was that this was a pure text biography, and there was not a single picture of the Holy Thunder in it. Damn, is this a joke? I don't believe that in such a big library with so many books, there is not a single picture of the Holy Thunder, and there is not a starting time of human colonization on this planet. These two books angered Charlotte. He looked up at the surveillance camera in the library, then opened the world history and slowly flipped through it. He wasn't reading this lousy book at all. He pretended to be reading to cover up a risky move, which was to release the power of the brand and create an energy field of the brand. He wanted to completely control this library. The imprint of the universe trembled slightly, and the power of the imprint was released from his body like mercury flowing down the ground. This time, it did not spread like a flood to control the library. Instead, it spread little by little, slowly, and carefully in all directions. Even if it was a risk, he had to reduce the risk to a manageable level. The brand power energy field was like an invisible fog, with Charlotte's body as the center, slowly spreading in all directions. There was also the second and third floors of the library. Wherever the power of the brand passed through, everything was actually under his control. Students reading books, scholars researching knowledge, all the brain waves were captured. A huge amount of information rushed into his brain like a tide, and nothing was left out. Not only people, but even the contents of the books were all extracted and entered his brain. At this moment, his brain really became a bottomless whirlpool, greedily preying on everyone's brain waves, absorbing the knowledge in every book. In the eyes of others, this library did not change. It was still so quiet. But in Charlotte's eyes, it was the secrets of many people, and there was a huge amount of knowledge. This information rushed into his brain in a signal that only he could interpret. Where is the photo of Holy Thunder? When did humans colonize this planet? He could not wait to find the answer to these two questions. At this moment, a young woman appeared. Her skin was very white. Her face was elegant and beautiful, and she had a scholarly air about her. She was wearing a long white dress, and the size of her chest was not too big, not too small, high and good. The size of her buttocks was relatively full, giving people a feeling that it was very material. Such a woman, no matter where she went, would attract the attention of men, but would not become the focus of attention. The woman was holding a book in her hand, and it just so happened that there was no space elsewhere. She walked toward Charlotte. When she appeared, Charlotte already knew of her existence. He did not need to look at her. He already knew everything about her. He knew that she was walking towards him. He hesitated for a moment, but in the end, he did not do anything. The woman walked to the front of Charlotte's desk and whispered, "Sir, can I sit down?" Charlotte also withdrew the brand power energy field. He had received a huge amount of information, and he needed some time to digest it. He nodded, "Yes, please sit down." Chapter 1463. The woman sat down across from Charlotte and put her book on the desk. It was energy conversion. An elegant fragrance wafted into Charlotte's nostrils. It was like the fragrance of a nameless wildflower. It was natural, fresh, and pleasant. However, it was obviously not the smell of perfume. Charlotte was sure that the fragrance came from her pores. It was a natural body fragrance. The body fragrance was so strong that it was almost like perfume. It was the first time that Charlotte had seen such a woman. The woman opened the book and flipped through it. She secretly glanced at Charlotte from the corner of her eyes. The two of them had no communication other than the conversation just now. Charlotte was also reading. His brain entered a transcendent state again. He quickly sorted out all the words and brain waves that he had just captured. In that short amount of time, he had controlled the entire library. The first, second, and third floors. More than 100,000 books and tens of billions of words and pictures. Ordinary people would never be able to read so much content in their entire lives. However, for Charlotte, it was only a matter of a few minutes. He remembered every word, every set of numbers, and the exact location of every picture in a book. Now, if someone wanted to test him, they could pick a book from a designated area on the first or second floor and ask him the questions in the book. He would be able to answer them instantly. The Universe brand had appeared in reality. The power of the brand had been strengthened, and his body had evolved. How could Charlotte's brain not be stronger? As the master of the body and the most complicated and important organ of the human body, the brain had to be the first to evolve. The super brain calculated at a speed that surpassed that of a computer. All the content that had been downloaded in the library was sorted out. The useless things were directly deleted. The useful content was kept and then sorted out. As time went by, the answer that Charlotte wanted did not surface. When did humans come to this planet? All the answers he found were, the first year of the Holy Thunder. The first year of the Holy Thunder was a starting point. Before that, everything was blank. How did human beings come to this world? Some books said that they came to this world on the Pioneer. It was a huge spaceship with more than 28,000 people. The spaceship also carried a large number of seeds, machinery, and other resources. In addition, there were a lot of sperm and eggs. So many people in this world were actually the descendants of test tube babies. Some books said that Earth encountered the end of the world, and the Holy Thunder opened the Stargate. The humans who survived the end of the world directly transmigrated to this world through the Stargate. That year was also known as the first year of the Holy Thunder. The previous records were also blank. The first year of the Holy Thunder seemed to be the standard answer. Before the first year of the Holy Thunder, there was nothing. The records after the first year of the Holy Thunder were very detailed, and the exact time could be checked. For example, when Desolate Border City was established, who was the first chief executive, and so on. After getting this answer, Charlotte suddenly realized that he had made a mistake. He thought to himself, the concept of time does not exist. The concept of a certain year and a certain day is something that we humans have created based on the situation on Earth. It couldn't be used to measure time on other planets, not to mention that I might be in the future. According to the standard of time on Earth, this world doesn't exist, and I don't exist either. The first year of the Holy Thunder, then the first year of the Holy Thunder. The books here said that humans came to this world called the Pioneer, and it also said that Earth encountered the end of the world, and the Holy Thunder opened the stars and brought the survivors to this world. However, Queen of Rest told me that it was the seed planted by the origin. Which one is the truth? Why am I looking for answers here that confuse me? This is the world inside the box. As long as I find the fragments of the world box and complete the world box, I can solve all the mysteries. When did humans come to this world? This question was pushed to the back of Charlotte's mind. His brain started to organize again, looking for the second answer. The humans in this world and the civilization that humans built were all born because of the Holy Thunder. How could they not look like him? Images flashed in Xiaolei's mind. If his mind was described as the sky, then those images would be the snowflakes fluttering in the sky. There was no way to count them. Almost as soon as he started to organize the pictures, his brain provided him with pictures of the Holy Thunder. Without exception, all the pictures were of him wearing armor and helmets. There was not a single picture of him wearing casual clothes or showing his face in daily life. Some of the armors were golden, some were black, and some were silver. They all had different designs. Some were simple and unadorned, like warriors from ancient times. Some were sci-fi, like warriors from the future. Some were very fashionable. Wearing the Holy Thunder, he looked like a handsome model on the runway. Charlotte frowned and could not help but curse in his heart. Does the Holy Thunder wear armor when he sleeps with women? Transvestite. Suddenly, a picture provided by his brain appeared in his mind. Charlotte was stunned. In this picture, the Holy Thunder was wearing a set of silver armor, but this set of silver armor was neither sci-fi nor fashionable. nor simple. It looked very simple and tattered, and it was exactly the same as the silver armor he had obtained from the Knights Hospitaller. Even a small hole and crack on the helmet were the same. Seeing it, Charlotte felt like he was struck by lightning. He had worn the silver armor to Stone City, and he had also brought the crystal skull and the box of the world. But after coming to this world, he was naked and had nothing. His two sworn enemies, Kasha Ruiz and Isatab, had disappeared, and there had been no news of them until now. And with their abilities, it would not be difficult for them to find him in this world if they wanted to get information about him. When this picture appeared, a creepy thought suddenly appeared in Charlotte's mind. Could it be that Isatab and Kasha Ruiz did not come to this world at all? Was I the only one who was sent here by Stone City, the origin? Are the crystal skull and the box of the world still on Earth? This conjecture seemed very reasonable. Otherwise, why would Isatab and Kasha Ruiz not appear? This conjecture made him feel like he was sitting on pins and needles. He was looking for the fragments of the box of the world in this world, but Isatab could continue their plan on Earth, using the Hellhound virus to create a hunting ground, destroying human civilization and threatening his women and children. However, this was not all of his conjecture because of this picture. A guess naturally appeared in his mind, and cold sweat broke out on his back. On Earth, he had guessed more than once that the silver armor was a protective suit to enter the box world. It was understandable that he had obtained the protective suit and came in. But how could the holy thunder pass through this protective suit? Holy thunder. Holy thunder. Xiaolei's cold sweat had already spread from his back to his forehead. That's the name Giovanna and the others gave me. The brothers and sisters of the Salvation Association regard me as the Son of God and worship me as a god. The human leader of this world is the Holy Thunder, and the people here also worship him as a god. Could it be? Could it be? He did not dare to continue thinking. He was the Holy Thunder. All of this was like a reincarnation. 1,000 years ago, the Holy Thunder died in battle. His mother did not fall in love and gave birth to him. His father, Xia Changhe, had been waiting for his birth since hundreds of years ago and had arranged everything for him. He was born, he grew up, he took the AE capsule, and he started the path of evolution. He fought, he found clues one by one, and finally came here. And all of this was just a way to redeem himself after his failure. The source of all of this was the box of the world. The chosen one, he was the chosen one. His destiny was to find the missing fragment of the box of the world. Time and time again. If he died this time, another one of them would come here in the end. Behind all these events, there was a huge hand that could cover the sky. This big hand was not Isatab, nor was it Kasha Ruiz. These two enemies who had evolved to their ultimate state could not even be considered a finger. I want to go back. I must go back. I cannot fail. I cannot die here. I want to go back and reunite with my wife and child. I will kill anyone who stands in my way. Charlotte repeated this sentence in his heart. His gaze was terrifying. This sentence seemed to be directed at the big hand, but he did not even know what the owner of the hand looked like. Sir, the woman's voice suddenly came. Are you okay? Charlotte came back to his senses and realized that he had lost his composure. He said, "Oh, I'm fine. My stomach hurt a little, but I'm fine now. Thank you for your concern. I've never seen you before. Where are you from?" The woman asked. Charlotte said, "The underground city. I came with Commander Kanto." After a pause, he took the initiative to extend a hand. "My name is Charlotte. Nice to meet you." The woman did not expect Charlotte to be so direct. She hesitated for a moment before extending her hand to shake Charlotte's. "My name is Bailing. Nice to meet you." Her hand was soft as if it had no bones, and her skin was smooth. Women were the best lubricant. Charlotte felt much better. He suppressed all his confusion and fear, and a smile appeared on his face. "This library is so big. I've never seen such a big library." "Oh yes, Miss Bailing, I have a question that has been bothering me for a long time. I haven't found the answer. Can you tell me?" "That depends on the question," Bailing said. Her voice was clear and melodious, just like Bailing. Charlotte said, When When was the Heavenly Jewel Academy established? Bailing suddenly giggled. Charlotte shrugged his shoulders awkwardly. Is my question that funny? Bailing said, It's the first year of the Saint Lightning. Such a simple question. Charlotte smiled bitterly. It was the first year of the Saint Lightning again. I have a question for you too, Bailing said. What is it? How did you end up here? Bailing said, This is not a place that just anyone can come to. I know Commander Kanto. She is the leader of the resistance, but I don't think her team will win. Charlotte was about to give her an answer when a voice sounded. Hey, Teacher Bailing, why are you chatting with Mr. Xia? Mr. Xia, you really don't stay idle no matter where you go. Suya and Kanto Nana walked over. Behind the two women was a man in his 30s. He was tall and handsome. Chapter 1464. Suya's words displeased the man, but he did not show it. Instead, a glint of light flashed in his eyes. On the surface, he maintained a faint smile, which made him look easygoing and easy to get close to. Bai Ling stood up and said with a smile, Suya, your mouth is still so sharp. Teacher Bai Ling, what were you talking about with Mr. Xia? Suya asked. Bai Ling said, I just met Mr. Xia. We were just chatting casually. So that's how it is. Mr. Xia, let me introduce you. Suya pointed to the handsome man beside her. This is our military officer, Tang Sheng. Military officer Tang Sheng, the leader of the branded warriors, was actually so young. Charlotte was a little surprised, but he did not show it on his face. He stood up and held out his hands. So it's Mr. Tang, nice to meet you. Tang Sheng also held out his hands, saying politely, Mr. Xia, I've heard a lot about you, and I've wanted to get to know you for a long time, but I never had the chance. I didn't expect you to come to the Heavenly Jewel Academy, so I asked Suya to bring me here. I didn't expect you to be so powerful at such a young age. Truly admirable. Charlotte smiled and said, I didn't expect the leader of the branded warriors to be so young. Admirable, admirable. Bai Ling smiled and said, Are you two men done yet? You two are admiring each other. How can we women interrupt? Only then did the two men stop complimenting each other, and the four hands that were clasped together loosened. Tang Sheng said, Bai Ling, can I have a word with you alone? Bai Ling hesitated. Can't we do it another day? Commander Kong Tu is here, and I haven't had a word with her yet. Kong Tu Nana smiled awkwardly. Teacher Bai Ling, you can't use me as a shield. Mr. Xia and I will be staying here for a while. You can come and chat with me anytime. Bai Ling's lips curled up. All right, it's been 2 years, and you're starting to speak up for Tang Sheng. Kong Tu Nana said, In the Heavenly Jewel Academy, who doesn't know that you two are a match made in heaven? I say, stop playing games of love, get married, and take care of your children. Bailing blushed. She avoided Tang Sheng's gaze and did not say anything. Mr. Xia, let's go. Don't disturb their conversation. Kong Tu Nana said. Charlotte said, All right then, I appreciate it very much. Miss Bailing, you guys continue chatting. I'll take my leave first. Goodbye, Mr. Summer, said Lark. Tang Sheng said, Mr. Xia, I would like to invite you and Commander Kanto to dinner tonight. Would you do me the honor? It's my honor to have dinner with Mr. Tang, said Charlotte with a smile. I'll definitely come. See you tonight, Mr. Tang, said Kanto Nana. Suya shrugged her shoulders. You two are deliberately provoking a single person like me. Well, I should go too. Kanto Nana hugged Suya's slender waist. Don't spout nonsense. Also, you're so pretty. The number of people pursuing you can line up a few 100 meters away. You're single. Who are you trying to fool? The two women chatted and laughed as they left the library. Charlotte put the 2 books away and also left the library. Although he had only read a few pages, he had taken the entire library with him. Just as Charlotte left the library, in the Heavenly Jewel Academy Surveillance Center, the surveillance projection of Charlotte disappeared. During that period of time, Charlotte's every move in the library had been closely monitored by the surveillance center. The people monitoring Charlotte were not just a few staff members in the surveillance center, but also Huang Kai and Dean Rowland. I didn't expect him to be interested in history and the Holy Lightning. A disdainful smile appeared on Huang Kai's lips. He behaves like an uncultured person. I think even the villagers in remote villages know about the issues he is concerned about. Is that what you think? Roland said. Huang Kai nodded. Dean Roland, this guy is indeed very powerful. However, after observing him for this period of time, I don't think we need to monitor him so closely anymore. It's a waste of our manpower and resources. Roland said, no, continue monitoring him. I met him once, and when we met, there was something about him that I couldn't see through. Also, don't you think it's strange that he broke Ma Kuin's hand and arm with a single punch? We all know how Ma Kuin got his strength, but do we know how he got his terrifying strength? Huang Kai retracted the disdainful smile on his face. Go. Think of a way to find out what's going on with his terrifying strength. No matter what you find, tell me immediately. Roland said. Huang Kai nodded. I know what to do. Kantu Nana is a good breakthrough point. I'll start with her. After a moment of silence, Roland said, Go ahead and do it. Don't hold back. Resistance Army? Resistance Army is just a joke. Do your best. Tang Sheng will soon become one of the academicians, and the position he vacated will be taken by you. Thank you for your guidance, Dean. I will not let you down. Huang Kai smiled. His smile was cold. Kong Tu Nana, however, had a charming smile on her face. She skipped on the dangerous road, as happy as a little girl who got full marks in a test. Xiaolei followed behind her. Kong Nana's perky buttocks and long legs swayed back and forth in his line of sight, trembling again and again. That beautiful ripple dazzled his eyes. When they were about to reach the entrance of their temporary cave, he couldn't help but ask with a smile, Commander Kong Tu, what are you so happy about? Kong Tu Nana stopped and looked back at Charlotte. You want to know? Charlotte nodded. Kong Tu Nana grinned. I'm not telling you. Charlotte, he didn't know that the commander-in-chief of the resistance army had such a cute side. Their caves were right next to each other, separated only by a natural wall. Xiaolei's Cars cave was next to Kong Tu Nana's, so the two of them arrived while chatting. I'm here. See you tonight. Kong Tu Nana stopped in front of his cave. She said goodbye, but didn't enter the cave. Charlotte said. Can I come in for a seat? What do you want? Kong Tu Nana looked nervous. Charlotte smiled awkwardly. You don't have to be so guarded against me, do you? What kind of man have I become in your eyes? You know very well what kind of man you are, Kong Tu Nana said. Charlotte didn't know what to say. Come in, Kong Tu Nana said. Charlotte smiled and followed Kong Tu Nana in. There was a hidden surveillance camera in Kong Tu Nana's cave, but it wasn't on the ceiling of the cave, but on the wall. It didn't cover the entire cave, and Kong Tu Nana's bed wasn't within the surveillance range of the surveillance camera. This was the academy, after all. Even if there was a surveillance camera, it wouldn't be too dirty. If there were no surprises, there wouldn't be a surveillance camera in Kong Tu Nana's bathroom. Can I borrow your bathroom? Charlotte asked. Kong Tu Nana frowned. Did you come in just to borrow the bathroom? People have 3 urgent needs. I suddenly want to pee. Is there a problem with that? Charlotte looked innocent. Go. Seriously, you're so vulgar, Kong Tu Nana urged. Charlotte went into the bathroom and asked Lil Ray to pee. As he peed, he carefully observed the situation in the bathroom. Just as he had guessed, there were no surveillance cameras in the bathroom. Now it seemed that he was the only one who received special attention. The academy surveillance of Kong Tu Nana was much lower. Can you not be so loud? Kong Tu Nana's voice came. Charlotte smiled and said, When you pee, can you control the volume of water and the volume? Oh, why are you so disgusting? Kong Tu Nana's voice. Ha ha ha. Charlotte laughed even louder. Vulgar? Since you said I'm going to do it, I'll show you how vulgar I am. At the same time, I'll give the Heavenly Jewel Master Academy a vulgar impression and make them lower their guard. Vulgar people were often looked down upon by others, and most people would have the misconception that vulgar people were careless people, and they would lower their guard. Charlotte walked out of the bathroom, fastening his belt as he walked. Kong Tu Nana turned around hurriedly, a faint blush on her cheeks. Why are you like this? Like what? Charlotte sat down on Kong Tu Nana's bed, spreading his limbs wide as he lay down. He did not seem to know that when he came out of the bathroom, he had only fastened his belt, but had not pulled up his zipper. From the zipper, a corner of his blue combat pants was exposed, and it was that corner that was especially eye-catching. Kong Tunana's brow furrowed even deeper. Why didn't you pull up your zipper? I didn't. I'm sorry. Charlotte reached up to pull up his zipper, smiling as he said, Your bed is so soft. Let's talk on it. Get out. Kong Tunana was enraged, and she pointed at the entrance of the cave. Why are you angry? Charlotte said shamelessly, Life is short, and when it's time to be happy, we should find some fun. Get up, get out. Kong Tunana walked towards Charlotte, reaching out to grab Charlotte's arm, trying to pull him off the bed. Charlotte used a bit of strength to pull her towards Charlotte, and Kong Tunana leapt onto him. In that instant, his branding energy field enveloped Kong Tunana, his eyes turning black as he used his fastest speed to hypnotize Kong Tunana's mind, downloading the information he wanted from her mind. A minute later, Charlotte let go of Kong Tunana and flipped her off his body. Kong Tunana was stunned for a moment, but she suddenly came back to her senses and slapped Charlotte across the face. You're shameless. Charlotte covered his cheek. You actually hit me? Get out. Kong Tunana roared at Charlotte. Fine, how boring. Charlotte turned around and left, not even looking back. When he left, he glanced at the surveillance camera on the rock wall from the corner of his eye. He sneered inwardly. With this kind of acting, how many points can those guys give me? Chapter 1465. About an hour ago, Kong Tunana and Suya came to a huge karst cave. There were many training machines in the cave, as well as moving targets for shooting practice, virtual combat pods, and so on. Some people were doing strength training, some were doing shooting practice, and some were fighting virtual opponents. The scene was very lively. This huge karst cave was the training base for the branded warriors. Suya introduced the training base to Kong Tunana. The people training here are all reserve warriors. Only after passing the final test can they become branded warriors. The number of branded warriors in the academy is always limited to 100. Every year, there will be people being eliminated and new people joining every year. Survival of the fittest. This kind of elimination system makes those who have already become branded warriors not dare to relax, or they will be eliminated. The branded warrior army of the Heavenly Jewel Academy represents the strongest combat power of mankind. You are undoubtedly the strongest super warriors in the world. Kong Tunana said, The Revolutionary Army is not bad either. You have always been fighting on the front lines against the Blue Moon people. I quite admire your Revolutionary Army. I really hope that one day we can fight side by side and chase the Blue Moon people out of this planet. Suya said, I also hope that you can fight with us. With just our Revolutionary Army, we have no chance of winning against the Blue Moon people. All right, why do you branded warriors only protect the Heavenly Jewel Academy and not the Blue Moon people? Kong Tunana asked. I don't know. I asked our military officer Tang Sheng, and he scolded me harshly. Since then, I have never dared to ask such a question again. However, I believe that one day we will fight side by side. So you said. At this time, Tang Sheng walked over with Ma Kuan. Ma Kuan's right arm was in a cast and hung with a bandage. His face was gloomy, and his eyes were terrifyingly cold. Tang Sheng. Kong Tunana smiled and greeted him. I haven't seen you in 2 years, and you haven't changed at all. How have you been? How is your relationship with Teacher Bai Ling? Kong Tunana and Tang Sheng obviously knew each other, and they seemed to be on good terms. Tang Sheng smiled and said, Commander Kong Tu, you asked me so many questions in one go. Which one do you want me to answer? All right, then I'll choose one to answer you. I'm not doing well. You're just brushing me off. Seeing how unhappy you are, I'm guessing it must have something to do with Teacher Bailing. Forget it. Considering that we're old friends, I won't make things difficult for you, Kong Tunana said with a smile. All right, where's the friend who came with you? Tang Sheng asked. Suya quickly said, You mean Mr. Xiao? He went to the library. Tang Sheng frowned slightly. What is he doing in the library? Suya said, What else can I do in the library? To read, of course. Tang Sheng glared at Suya. You talk too much. Suya shut her mouth and didn't dare to speak anymore. Tang Sheng said, Commander Kong too. Can you tell me about your friend? What do you want to know? Said Conternana. Anything is fine. He injured a very strong member of my team as soon as he arrived. I'm very curious about him. If possible, tell me everything you know. Tang Sheng said. Of course I can. Every single one of you from the Heavenly Jewel Academy are righteous, and you all represent the hope of humanity. As such, there is nothing that cannot be said in the Heavenly Jewel Academy. However, I do not know much. Kong Tu Nana continued, telling him everything she knew about Charlotte, not holding anything back. After hearing Kong Tu Nana's words, Tang Sheng's brow furrowed even deeper, a hint of unhappiness in his eyes. However, before Tang Sheng could say anything, Ma Kuan said, Commander Kong Tu, are you sure you are not hiding anything? You don't even know where he came from or what he has done. You don't even know the most basic information, and you dare to be his guarantor and bring him here? Kong Tu Nana said, I have already said it very clearly. He has lost his memories. The reason why I am willing to be his guarantor and bring him here is because I believe that he is not a bad person. He didn't do anything bad. On the contrary, he has been helping the suffering villagers and the resistance army who are in trouble. Oomph. Ma Kuan gave a cold humph. Commander Kong too. Have you ever thought about it? If he is a spy sent by the Blue Moon Empire, purposely putting on a show for you to see, the consequences of bringing him here will be dire. You dash. Kong Tu Nana was instantly angered. She felt that Ma Kuan was being unreasonable, but she could not find any words to refute him. All right, that's enough. Commander Kong Tu, come with me, Tang Sheng said, motioning for Kong Tu Nana to follow him. Where are you bringing me? Although she asked that, Kong Tu Nana did not reject him, and she followed Tang Sheng. Tang Sheng and Kong Tu Nana had not gone far when Ma Kuan started arguing with Suya. Suya, I don't want to see you getting too close to that kid, Ma Kuan said. Suya said, Ma Kuan, what do you mean? Don't you understand what I mean? I don't want you to get too close to him. You are my girlfriend. You should consider my feelings. How can you be so narrow-minded? Do you hate him because he defeated you? No. If you don't, then why do you hate him? And you don't allow me to go near him? Don't worry about it. I don't want you to be with him. Whatever you say. Who do you think you are to control me? You don't want me to be with him, but I insist on being with him. How dare you? I know. Is it because he is so handsome? Are you that unconfident? How can you be so rude? Just as the two of them were arguing, Kong Tu Nana and Tang Sheng walked into a tunnel. This tunnel was actually Tang Sheng's office. Tang Sheng walked into the office in the fork and closed the metal door. There's no need to close the door, right? Kong Tu Nana said with a smile. Aren't you afraid that the Heavenly Jewel Academy's top beauty, Bailing, will misunderstand? Tang Sheng smiled bitterly. If she really gets jealous of me because of some misunderstanding, I'm afraid I'll wake up laughing in my sleep. But you know her personality. Sometimes she's as clear as spring water, and sometimes she's as cold as an ice mountain, making people afraid to get close to her. So, when have you ever seen a spring or an ice mountain get jealous? Hee hee, your analogy is really interesting, but it's very appropriate. Otherwise, how could she become the #1 goddess of the Heavenly Jewel Academy? You should be content. If she was as clingy and coquettish as other girls, I'm afraid she wouldn't be able to escape your eyes. Kong Tu Nana said. Forget it. Let's get back to business. Tang Sheng changed the topic. This time, the person you brought is indeed very dangerous. That's why I asked you those questions. This is my duty. If I offended you in any way, please forgive me. Kong Tu Nana said, we are old friends. You don't have to be so courteous with me. Protecting the Heavenly Jewel Academy is your duty, I understand. However, if you want to know more, I really can't satisfy you, as I've already told you everything I know. Tang Sheng fell silent, as if trying to judge the credibility of Kong Tu Nana's words. Kong Tu Nana shrugged. Mr. Xia is extremely powerful and also extremely mysterious. I felt that he could make a greater contribution to the current situation of our species, so I brought him here. I've asked him to join our resistance army more than once, but he has never been moved. I think that if you ask him to join the Heavenly Jewel Academy, he might agree. This is actually another reason why I brought him here, and I've been hiding it from him. I hope that when you bring it up, you won't mention me. If he doesn't have any problems, I'll bring it up with the principal." After a pause, Tang Shunkai continued. "Other than wanting to talk to you about Xiaolei, I called you here because I want to ask you for a favor. What can I do for you? Help me get a sample of his blood." Kong Tu Nana was stunned. Tang Sheng said, "I know this is difficult for you, but we need to understand his genes. He has a terrifying power hidden within him, and we need to understand the source of that power to determine his identity. We are doing this for the sake of the Heavenly Jewel Academy and the future of the entire human race. You are an upright and respectable woman, and I believe that you will make the right choice. Even if it's for those who died in battle, I'll make an exception this time." Kong Tu Nana fell silent for a moment, then nodded. More than an hour later now. "Mr. Xiao, wait up." Kong Tu Nana's voice came from behind. Charlotte stopped in his tracks, turning to look at her with a mischievous smile on his face. "Have you thought it through? Come here. I have something to say to you." Kong Tu Nana waved towards Charlotte. However, Charlotte shook his head. "I'm not your pet. If you slap me and tell me to come over, I'll lose face." "You? I'm sorry, is that fine?" "I don't care if you're sorry or not. Tell me, what else do you want from me?" "Come over here. I have something important to tell you." Kong Tu Nana deliberately crossed her legs, and her buttocks and long legs immediately revealed a seductive curve. "Heh, your legs are so beautiful. If I can touch them, I'm willing to lose a second of my life," Charlotte said shamelessly. "Pooey, you can touch them for more than a second, right? Doesn't that mean you won't lose a second of your life?" Kong Tu Nana looked as if she wanted to bite him. Forget it. I've never rejected a woman, especially a beautiful one like you." Charlotte walked over. In truth, even before he spoke to Kong Tu Nana, he already knew what she wanted to do. In a minute that he had hypnotized Kong Tu Nana, he had known everything. Not only did he know about Tang Sheng's conspiracy, but he also had a more comprehensive understanding of the training base of the branded warriors. However, in the current situation, he had no time to sort out the information. He had to deal with Kong Tu Nana and the surveillance camera installed on the wall of the Karst cave. Charlotte walked in front of Kong Tu Nana and faced the surveillance camera. He looked at Kong Tu Nana's voluptuous breasts with a lecherous gaze. "Tell me, how do you want to play?" Kong Tu Nana suddenly pounced on Charlotte, hugged his neck, and bit Charlotte's neck. Charlotte cried out in exaggerated pain. "What are you doing? Are you crazy? Let me go." Kong Tu Nana bit Charlotte's neck hard again before releasing Charlotte. Fresh blood flowed out from Charlotte's neck, and Kong Tu Nana's lips and teeth were stained with his blood. "Why did you bite me?" Charlotte looked very angry. Kong Tu Nana said, "Who told you to bully me? If you bully me, I'll bite you. You must be a dog in human form. Let's see if you dare bully me again. Forget it, we're even. Stand there and don't move. I'll treat it for you." Kong Tu Nana had gone to get a towel to wipe the blood. Charlotte did not refuse. However, when Kong Tu Nana was treating his wound, he reached out and touched Kong Tu Nana's perky butt. "You," Charlotte smirked. "Now we're even. You, get out of here." Kong Tu Nana's face was green with anger. "I'll leave." Charlotte turned around and left. When he reached the entrance of the Karst cave, he did not forget to add, "Your butt is not bad. It's quite bouncy. Go to hell." Kong Tu Nana's voice came from inside the cave. When he walked out of the Karst cave, the smirk on Charlotte's face disappeared and was replaced by a cold expression. "Trying to play dirty with me? I'll kill you." Chapter 1466. Charlotte lay on the bed, looking like he had fallen asleep. Of course, this was for the surveillance cameras above his head to see. His brain was operating in an extraordinary state, combing through all the information he had downloaded from the library and Kong Tu Nana's brain. The contents of those books were not useless. The knowledge in those books far surpassed the knowledge on Earth. He had learned a lot of the technological knowledge of the Ahemus Empire from Hao Fong. Although the Ahemus Empire had been destroyed for more than 3,000 years, its technological level was still far superior to that of the current humans. Now, his brain was integrating the technological knowledge of this world with the knowledge of the Ahemus Empire, learning from each other's strengths to make up for their weaknesses and rebuilding his own technological system. This system covered all aspects, such as mathematics, physics, materials, energy, machinery, artificial intelligence, and so on. Two-thirds of his brain was automatically organizing and building a technological system, while one-third of his brain was doing something else. The image of the branded warrior's training base was replayed in Charlotte's brain at twice the speed of reality. In other words, if Kanta Nana disappeared in there for half an hour, it would take him an hour to replay it. In this replay, he was looking from Kanta Nana's point of view. All the machines and faces reappeared in his brain. There was nowhere to hide from the eyes and expressions of those people. The location of the surveillance cameras in the training base, how many forks there were, and all the details were under his control. Not a single detail was missed. Tang Sheng's office entered his brain. The desk, the bookcase, and the chair all appeared in front of his eyes, as if he was in the office himself. In that pastime, in that office, Kanta Nana was looking straight at Tang Sheng. But now, he was using Kanta Nana's peripheral vision to spy on this office. Kanta Nana did not notice what he was seeing. There was a document on Tang Sheng's desk. The document was open. Charlotte made Kanta Nana's peripheral vision pause, and a paragraph of text appeared in his brain. Number 122 had a strong reaction to the drug and has died. His ability was speed, and the last test was at 200 kilometers per hour. The autopsy results were out. The heart had exploded, and the reason for the explosion was that it could not withstand the drug. In addition, 145 and 178 had strong side effects, and it was very likely that they would die. An energy of 145 was an extremely rare X-ray vision, but unfortunately, he was blind now. Number 178's abilities were the most common combination enchantment and flame breath. He was already paralyzed. Energy was still very difficult to control. This year, only one qualified product would participate in the test to challenge the last ranked branded warrior. This should be a report on a specific incident. However, Charlotte could only see so much. After all, he was not in the office. He was able to dig out information that even Kanta Nana had missed, but he had too little flour to make a cake. But that was enough. He had already found the answer he was looking for. As expected, AE had already been researched. The so-called branded warriors were actually super warriors who had taken AE. There was a description of number 122's ability in the report. Number 122's ability was speed. He could run at a terrifying speed of 200 kilometers per hour. The energy of number 145 was a rare clairvoyant. Number 178 was the most common combination enhancement and flame breath. These descriptions solved the confusion in Charlotte's heart, but at the same time, he was surprised. He had also taken AE before. His ability was X-ray vision. And here, X-ray vision was classified as extremely rare. He could not help but imagine, if number 122 was still alive, would he be able to see through objects like him? There was also number 145, who could run at 200 kilometers per hour, and number 178, who had a combination enhancement and flame breath. He did not feel that number 145, who could run at 200 kilometers per hour, was very strong. He could now run at that speed easily, even faster than number 122. What interested him was number 178, who had a combination enhancement and flame breath. That was because number 178 reminded him of Ma Kuan. He had fought with Ma Kuan before, and Ma Kuan's special ability was this combination enhancement and flame breath. The replay ended. Charlotte thought to himself, Professor Pompey and Hani Fei did not research AE in the Heavenly Jewel Academy. Otherwise, Blackbeard would not have the ability to attack Professor Pompey's laboratory and steal the experiment records and related information. I have seen the experiment records and information. They are very messy and full of mistakes. According to the experiment records and information, even if Professor Pompey did not die, he would not have been able to research AE. But here, AE might not be perfect, but it can at least be said to be a success. The branded warriors are living proof. Since they have succeeded, why did they let Professor Pompey go outside to experiment? Is it to perfect AE research, or is it to create a false impression? How strange. The Heavenly Jewel Academy has 100 branded warriors. This number might seem small, but the combat power of 100 branded warriors is not something that any army would dare to underestimate. With such a powerful combat power, the Heavenly Jewel Academy does not fight the Blue Moon people, but hides here and there, changing locations every year. What is it trying to do? Or is it looking for something? Thinking of looking for something, for some reason, Charlotte thought of the World Box fragment. The reason why he had such a thought was simple. For an existence like the Heavenly Jewel Academy, if it was looking for something, how could it possibly be something simple? The Heavenly Jewel Academy had been established in the first year of the Saint Thunder and had a history of more than 1,000 years. It was closely related to the human civilization in this world. How could it not know what the Saint Thunder was looking for? Just as he was thinking hard about the Heavenly Jewel Academy's motive, Charlotte's thoughts suddenly took a 180-degree turn, returning to a suspicious point that he had overlooked. In order to protect the Huaxia ship, I left the crystal skeletal hand on the Huaxia ship. I did not bring it here, but when I was fighting with Ma Kuan outside, I was not affected by the Blue Moon at all. If Ma Kuan's energy is not within the Blue Moon's range, then mine should be, but why am I not affected? Could it be the Heavenly Jewel Academy has something similar to the crystal skeletal hand and crystal skull? For example, a part of the crystal skeletal hand, a leg, a torso, or a hand. As he thought of this, Charlotte got excited. Not only was this possible, it was very likely. After the Blue Moon people destroyed the human civilization, the Heavenly Jewel Academy had been hiding, changing locations every year. Until now, they had not been discovered by the Blue Moon. With the current technology of mankind, this was almost impossible. The existence of the crystal skeletal hand was proof. The Heavenly Jewel Academy definitely had the crystal skeletal hand. If you have the crystal skeletal hand, I must steal it. Charlotte could no longer lie down, and he climbed out of bed. He entered the bathroom, and in front of the surveillance camera hidden in the rocks, he took off his jacket and the blue tank battle armor and started to take a shower. He was preparing for the dinner tonight. He was also continuing to pretend that he was rough. At the same time, in the surveillance center, this fellow, Huang Kai, could not help but scold. What a F***king pervert. Previously, when he offended Commander Kong too, I could not help but want to rush over and beat him up. Tang Sheng looked very calm, and there was not a hint of emotion. The two female workers in the surveillance center covered their eyes, but there was an obvious gap in the back of their hands that allowed them to see everything. In the 3D projection, Charlotte was rubbing left, right, up, down. When he was rubbing Xiaolei, Charlotte sighed, "Sigh, I haven't given you meat for such a long time. You're so skinny. How pitiful. I'm sorry, but I already have target. Kong Tu Nana is my target." Ha! The commander of the resistance, a high-class chick. Give me some more time, and I'll definitely let you eat the meat of a female commander. Disgusting. Vulgar. Pervert. The two female workers could not help but scold him. Is there still a need to monitor this guy? Huang Kai looked at Tang Sheng. I think it's best to just kick him out. Tang Sheng said, the lab is already analyzing his blood. Let's wait for the results to come out. Did you see the blue underwear he took off? Only perverts would wear that kind of underwear. Huang Kai said. Tang Sheng said, I suspect that's the blue tank battle armor. That's a priceless item. Huang Kai's gaze then shifted to the 3D projection, staring straight at the blue tank battle armor that Charlotte had placed on the rocks. At this moment, his eyes were filled with greed. It doesn't matter if this guy is a pervert or not, or how vulgar he is. He has terrifying power on him, and he also has the blue tank battle armor. We need to get to the bottom of him, Tang Sheng said, then continue to monitor him. Huang Kai said, I'll go back and prepare. I still have to have dinner with this guy later. Tang Sheng turned to leave, but stopped after 2 steps, turned around and said, You guys make a copy of this surveillance video and give it to Commander Kong 2 to see. Let's see what kind of trash the man she likes is. Huang Kai's mouth revealed a trace of smile. I'll personally give it to Commander Kong Tuesday. Tang Sheng laughed. She's not your type. Huang Kai said with a smile, I'll still have to try. After showering, Charlotte put on the blue tank battle armor again, and then put on his jacket. When he was done, Kong Tu Nana came over. She was wearing a purple dress with straps, and at least a third of her snow-white breasts were exposed in the air. That white and tender, deep cleavage made people want to bury their face in it and take a deep breath. The fabric of the dress was slightly translucent, and under the light, one could vaguely see the triangular panties inside. It was the same color as the high heels on her feet. Kong Tu Nana's outfit made Charlotte slightly dazed. In his impression, Kong Tu Nana was always in a military uniform and had never worn clothes like this before. With her dressed like this, her body suddenly had a strong sense of femininity and was charming and alluring. Kong Tu Nana glared at Charlotte. What are you looking at? Let's go. You're really beautiful tonight, Charlotte said with a smile. Kong Tu Nana didn't want to talk to Charlotte anymore, so she turned around and left. Charlotte followed behind Kong Tu Nana, and when they were still within the range of the surveillance camera, he suddenly said, Are the panties red? Kong Tu Nana's delicate body suddenly froze, and then she turned around. Pervert! Charlotte sighed in his heart. Women are really fickle. In the city in the wilderness, she was a hero, and Mr. Xia was long and Mr. Xia was short, but now she's a pervert, sigh. Chapter 1467. As one of the upper echelons of the Heavenly Jewel Academy, Tang Sheng's residence was the most home-like place that Charlotte had seen in the Heavenly Jewel Academy. Tang Sheng's cave was exquisitely decorated, using many synthetic materials, metal and plastic. The main color was deep blue, and it was filled with a futuristic aura. From the decorations to the furniture, every place reflected the owner's taste. Tang Sheng was clearly a cultured and meticulous man. As they walked into Tang Sheng's residence, Kong Tu Nana couldn't help but look at Charlotte with a strange expression. Although she didn't say anything, her eyes seemed to be saying, We're both men. Why is there such a huge difference? Dinner consisted mainly of fish and some meat of unknown wild beasts. Paired with 2 bottles of red wine, it was a sumptuous meal. Tang Sheng was very polite. This is not land, after all, and the ingredients are limited. Let's just make do. Kong Tu Nana said, Tang, this is already a sumptuous meal. I can see that you've put in a lot of effort for this dinner. Then she smiled and said, Looks like we've benefited from Teacher Bai Ling. If it was just me and Mr. Xia, I'm afraid there will be less food here. Tang Sheng just smiled. Are there any other guests coming? Charlotte asked. Yes, Bai Ling and Huang Kai, Tang Sheng said. Then do you have any more red wine? Charlotte asked. Tang Sheng started slightly. Aren't there 2 bottles? Charlotte said. 5 people only drank 2 bottles of red wine. How is that enough? Don't be so stingy. Go get a few more. A trace of displeasure flashed across Tang Sheng's eyes. Mr. Xia, do you think I'm running a hotel here? I've only kept these 2 bottles of red wine. If not for you and Commander Kong 2, I wouldn't even drink it myself. Am I stingy? Charlotte smiled. It's fine, it's fine. I'll just drink a little later. Kong Tu Nana glared at Charlotte, then whispered in his ear, What's wrong with you? How can you come to someone else's house and complain that the host has too little wine? I really regret coming to the banquet with you. Humph. No woman liked a man who was vulgar and impolite. Although Charlotte had provided great help to the resistance army, from a woman's point of view, Nana could not accept Charlotte like this. Charlotte said heartlessly, Women shouldn't interrupt when men are talking. If you have any complaints about me, let's talk when we get home. He emphasized the word go home, as if he was lecturing his woman. Kong Tu Nana was angered again. If it wasn't for Tang Sheng's presence, she wouldn't have bothered arguing with Charlotte. Otherwise, she would have argued with Charlotte. Tang Sheng's eyes were cold. His hatred for Charlotte had reached its peak. Just as the atmosphere was getting awkward, Bai Ling and Huang Kai arrived. Huang Kai Chuan was wearing a black suit. His tall and strong figure looked especially tough and stylish in the suit. His hair was styled neatly and styled with gel. A man like him was very attractive to some women. The white-collared woman was wearing a long white dress. She looked like a white lotus that had just emerged from the water and bloomed. She was clean, refined, and spotless. Bai Ling, come and sit. Tang Sheng greeted her with a warm and loving smile on his face. Bai Ling just nodded faintly and didn't say anything else. Tang Sheng's enthusiasm and Bai Ling's indifference formed a sharp contrast. Bai Ling's indifference made Tang Sheng a little uncomfortable, but he didn't show it. He maintained a gentle and elegant smile on his face and took the initiative to pull out a chair for Bai Ling. You guys take a seat. Since everyone is here, we can start eating, Tang Sheng said. Contanana and Charlotte walked to the dining table. Charlotte pulled out a chair. Contanana thought that Charlotte was pulling the chair for her, but before she could sit down, Charlotte sat down on the chair. Contanana's body stiffened. She was very embarrassed. Commander Cantu, please take a seat. Huang Kai pulled out a chair for Contanana. Thank you. Contanana sat on the chair that Huang Kai pulled out for her. She didn't forget to roll her eyes at Charlotte as she thanked him. Charlotte pretended not to see it. He took the wine opener and opened the red wine. Huang Kai sat next to Contanana. Mr. Xia, you must not drink red wine very often, right? Charlotte opened the cork of the red wine skillfully and said, Yeah, it's very hard to drink. I think so. It's hard to get food to survive in some rural areas, let alone red wine. After the Holy Thunder era, red wine has become a luxury. You rarely drink it, or maybe you've never drunk it before. There's nothing to be embarrassed about, Huang Kai said. His tone was full of contempt and disdain. Charlotte didn't show any reaction on his face, but he was sneering in his heart. Where were you when I was bathing in red wine? Acting cool in front of me. If it wasn't for the clue of the fragment of the world box, I would have made you kneel and drink piss. The dinner went on in a rather silent atmosphere. Perhaps to improve the atmosphere, Tang Sheng picked up a piece of fish and put it in Bai Ling's bowl. He said in a very gentle voice, Bai Ling, eat more fish. You always use your brain. It's good for you to eat more fish. Thank you. Bai Ling still didn't speak much. She was really a person of few words. Charlotte asked, Miss Bai Ling, do you always use your brain? Bai Ling nodded lightly. Studying energy conversion? Charlotte said. He remembered the book that Bai Ling had read in the library. Lark nodded her head lightly. Charlotte said, The current energy conversion technology of humans is too backward. More than 3,000 years ago, the Ahemus Empire mastered the technology to use the energy of spiritual ores. They converted the spiritual energy contained in the spiritual ores to many aspects, such as scientific research, agricultural production, artificial intelligence, and the power of spaceships. It's very advanced. I suspect that the energy conversion technology that the Blue Moon people are using now is from the Ahemus Empire. I don't believe that a race that survives by eating people will be given a smart brain. Bai Ling's eyes suddenly lit up with excitement. You know energy conversion? Charlotte laughed. I have some bad habits, but I'm very smart. I think I'm a genius in mathematics and physics. Also, I'm a rare kind. I'll discuss the problem of energy conversion with you another day. Bai Ling said, Why wait? We can discuss it after dinner. I think I'm full. Hurry up and eat. We can discuss it after dinner. Tang Sheng coughed dryly. Bai Ling, you haven't even eaten the fish, and you're already full after eating so little? Is my cooking not to your liking? No. Bai Ling didn't seem to know how to explain. Mr. Xia. Huang Kai laughed coldly. You say you're a genius, and a rare kind of genius at that. It's not that I want to criticize you, but how can you be so immodest? Do you know that Teacher Bai Ling is the most talented girl in our Heavenly Jewel Academy? Her achievements in mathematics and physics are outstanding in the entire academy. You're acting like a genius in front of her. I feel embarrassed for you. I really am a genius. Charlotte said seriously. Tang Sheng furrowed his brow. Mr. Xia, I know a little about the Ahemus Empire. It was destroyed by the Blue Moon people. If the Ahemus technology was more advanced than the Blue Moon people's, why was it destroyed? You actually said that the Blue Moon people copied the Ahemus Empire's technology, and you even said that the heavens would not give a race that survived on cannibalism a smarter brain. Your argument is ridiculous even for someone like me who doesn't understand much. Huang Kai said, Mr. Xia, there's a limit to bragging. If you go too far, you'll become a laughingstock. Charlotte looked innocent. How am I bragging? I'm telling the truth. Why won't you believe me? Is it because I'm good-looking? Bai Ling couldn't help but laugh. She knew that she had lost her composure, so she quickly covered her mouth with her hands. However, she still had a smile on her face, and there was a slight blush due to embarrassment. It was fine if Bai Ling didn't laugh, but when she did, Tang Sheng's face darkened. No matter how much he tried to please Bai Ling always kept a certain distance from him. She didn't even talk to him much, let alone smile at him. But now, with just one sentence from Charlotte, she laughed. How could he endure this? Oomph. Huang Kai snorted coldly. Mr. Xia, do you think your joke is funny? Charlotte said, How about this, Miss Bai Ling? Isn't she the most talented math and physics genius in your academy? Miss Bai Ling, you can give me any question, and I'll answer it. Bai Ling was slightly stunned. She didn't agree, but she didn't reject it either. Tang Sheng said, Okay, Bai Ling, just give me some simple questions. Don't embarrass Mr. Xia. However, Charlotte said, How can you give me simple questions? Miss Bai Ling, you can choose the most difficult questions. You can even give me questions that you can't solve. He smiled. Isn't this red wine very precious? I can't eat and drink for free, so I'll take his payment. I'll go get a pen and paper. If you can't solve it, then disappear. Don't embarrass yourself here. Without waiting for Bai Ling to agree, Huang Kai got up to get a pen and paper. Bai Ling looked at Charlotte and asked, Do you really want to do this? Charlotte nodded. I've rarely been serious in my life, but this time I'm serious. It's a rare opportunity for you, so you'd better give me some questions that you can't solve. Okay, Bai Ling agreed. Huang Kai quickly brought a pen and paper and put them in front of Charlotte. Charlotte didn't even look at him. He just pushed the pen and paper to Bai Ling, who was sitting opposite him. Bai Ling quickly gave him a math question. Numbers and symbols took up most of the white paper. After writing the question, Bai Ling said, This question is for this year's exam to recruit math geniuses. Try to solve it. Charlotte smiled. You still look down on me. He didn't even look at it carefully. When Bai Ling pushed the pen and paper to him, he grabbed the pen and wrote down the answer. Bai Ling couldn't help but stand up. So fast. And correct. Huang Kai said, He must know this question. No, new questions. Teacher Bai Ling, you don't have to be polite with this little rascal. You are now representing our Heavenly Jewel Academy. Then I'll give you a harder question. Bai Ling didn't wait for Charlotte to push the pen and paper to her. She walked directly to Charlotte's side and started writing. Chapter 1468. At such a close distance, Bai Ling's charming body fragrance wafted into Charlotte's nostrils, and her snow-white skin was exposed from her neckline. These were all things that attracted a man's adrenaline. For some reason, Charlotte suddenly thought of his math teacher in high school. At that time, the sexy math teacher appeared in his dreams from time to time, and he changed his underwear many times for those dreams. It was a familiar feeling, but a strange world. Charlotte's mind quickly returned to reality, because Bai Ling had already given her second question. It was a difficult problem related to energy conversion, and it filled up a whole piece of paper. Bai Ling handed the pen to Charlotte. This is a problem I've been solving recently, and I've already figured out the answer. But I haven't announced it yet, so I'm the only one who knows the answer. Charlotte took the pen and looked at the question on the paper. This time, he didn't write the answer as quickly as he did last time. He frowned and looked serious. Ha! Huang Kai laughed. You're stumped already? An extremely rare genius. You guessed it correctly, right? I'd like to see how you solve teacher Bai Ling's second question. Charlotte still didn't move. He was still frowning and looking serious. I think you'd better leave as soon as possible. Huang Kai's face was full of sarcasm and disgust. Don't embarrass yourself here. Bai Ling said, No, you don't know how difficult this problem is. It took me a month to solve it. It's normal for Mr. Xia to think about it, so don't worry. I don't expect Mr. Xia to give the right answer at once. As long as the solution is correct, I'll let you solve it. At this time, Tang Sheng said, Mr. Xia, what are you waiting for? You talk big, but Bai Ling doesn't care. As long as you can give me the solution, I'll let you pass. Just say something. Even if you can't solve it, you can just say it. We're all men, and we won't laugh at you when you talk big. You just need to apologize. It wasn't a joke, but it was worse than ridicule. Kant and Nana blushed, not because of the red wine, but because of Charlotte. She was the one who had brought Charlotte to the Heavenly Jewel Master Academy. But as soon as Charlotte had arrived, he had been making a fool of himself. As his guarantor, she had lost all her face. Well, let's go back. Kant and Nana lowered her voice and said to Charlotte, apologize to him. Don't embarrass yourself here. Charlotte suddenly sighed. Mr. Xia, can't you solve it? Bailing asked. Charlotte shook his head. No, it's because you still look down on me, using such a simple question to test me. He pointed to the second question on the paper. You've been working on this question for a month, right? Yes, a whole month, said Lark. You actually want to calculate a month for such a simple question? These questions are like elementary school questions to me. You can't use these low-level questions to insult me. Veiling Charlotte. Enough. Tang Sheng slammed the table and stood up. There's a limit to my patience. Don't go overboard. Charlotte was not angry at all. He smiled and said, I'm just speaking the truth. How am I going overboard? Men should be magnanimous, not petty. I'll solve this question now. Charlotte picked up a pen and flipped the paper to the back. He started calculating on the back of the paper. His pen flew, and in just 2 minutes, Charlotte had written everything on the back of the paper. Seeing the content on the back of the paper, Lark was stunned. Not only had Charlotte written the correct answer, but he had also included the method of using the energy conversion domain related to the question. Those words were like a ray of light, dispelling the confusion in her heart. She had benefited a lot. Mr. Xia, you're definitely the most powerful genius I've ever seen. Not only did you give me the answer, you even gave me a practical solution. Bailing said excitedly, Thank you. Thank you. Your hints and help are very important to me. I'm really grateful to you. Tang Sheng and Huang Kai had originally suspected that Charlotte was writing nonsense, but after hearing what Bailing said, the two men were stunned, and their faces were burning. This was a huge slap to the face. Kanta Nana's gaze shifted to Xia Lei's face. In that instant, she felt a tinge of guilt in her heart. In the underground city, the Resistance Army's headquarters was surrounded by the armored army of the Black Market Alliance and Blackbeard's men. Charlotte had single-handedly killed the armored army and Blackbeard's men. He had even used a bloody method to cut off Royce's head and issued a warning to the Black Market Alliance to stay away from the underground city. At that time, Xia Lei was simply an unparalleled hero in her heart. This was not all that Charlotte had given her and the Resistance Army. He had even donated hundreds of millions of Blue Moon dollars worth of weapons and equipment to the Resistance Army without taking a single cent. However, what she learned from Li and I was that when he was in Peace Village, he was so poor that he did not even have a pair of shoes. How many men in this world could compare to such a breadth of mind? Charlotte had treated her like this, but she had hated him because she felt that he was embarrassing. Seeing how Charlotte had easily solved the problem that Bailing had spent a whole month to solve, she suddenly felt that the person who was embarrassed was not Charlotte, but her. For a strong person like Charlotte, such a genius, wasn't it normal for him to be a little lecherous or even a little perverted? He was not an ordinary person at all. How could she use the standards of an ordinary person to measure him? The feeling of guilt grew stronger and stronger in her heart, and all the negative opinions and feelings she had towards Xia Lei also disappeared without a trace. Mr. Xia, can you help me solve another question? Bailing suddenly thought of something, and her eyes were filled with desire. Charlotte said, All right, seeing that you are so beautiful, I will help you solve another question. However, this is the only one. You'd better choose the most important problem. Bailing answered, then picked up a piece of white paper to write a question. Her face was a little red, not only because of excitement and agitation, but also because of Xia Lei's, because you're very beautiful. This sentence made her feel shy. A hint of hatred flashed in Tang Sheng's eyes. The same sentence, Bailing was shy, but he felt that it was humiliating. Charlotte actually dared to flirt with his woman in front of him. Huang Kai looked at Tang Sheng, and he saw the hatred in Tang Sheng's eyes. He seemed to have received some kind of instruction, and was about to speak when Tang Sheng suddenly kicked him on the back of his foot. He looked at Tang Sheng again, but saw a smile on Tang Sheng's face, and he immediately shut his mouth. Haha, I really couldn't tell, Tang Sheng said with a smile. I did not expect Mr. Xia to be such a genius in the academic world. How admirable. Charlotte smiled. You are too kind. I was not bragging just now. Those words really made people want to jump up and slap him. Haha. Tang Sheng maintained a smile on his face. Commander Kong too. You are right. Mr. Xia is really a genius that only appears once in 1,000 years. You were right to bring him here. Tomorrow, no, after dinner, I will go look for the principal. I want to talk to him personally about letting Mr. Xia join the Heavenly Jewel Academy. Kanta Nana smiled as well. Just now, she felt that Xia Lei had embarrassed her and made her feel too ashamed to show her face. Clearly, she felt that Xia Lei had made her proud and made her feel proud. Charlotte said in surprise, You want me to join the Heavenly Jewel Academy? Mr. Xia, don't you want to make a greater contribution to humanity? If a talent like you does not come here, it will be a great loss to humanity. Tang Sheng said. Is that so? If that's the case. Charlotte gave a reluctant look. Then I'll have to think about it. Tang Sheng smiled and said, Commander Kong too, the task of persuading Mr. Xia will fall on your shoulders. Kong Tu Nana replied quickly, Leave it to me. Charlotte smiled and said, Commander Kong Tu, you have to persuade me properly. I am a soft-hearted person, and once a beautiful woman persuades me, I will listen to her. Kong Tu Nana glared at Charlotte, but this time there was a hint of coquettishness in her glare. Huang Kai's eyes were terrifyingly cold. Charlotte snorted coldly in his heart, and thought to himself, if not for the fact that I want to get in touch with more core members and enter the higher level areas, I would not have the leisure to solve your problems. You guys are doing treacherous things under the guise of humanity's hope. Even if I give you all the things I have, you will still hide and not help those suffering outside. At this time, Bai Ling had finished the third question. This time, it was 2 full sheets of paper. When Bai Ling handed the pen to Charlotte, she seemed very nervous, her eyes filled with anticipation. Without looking at the question, Charlotte could guess from her eyes how important this question was to her, and even to the entire academy. Mr. Xia, please solve this question. Bai Ling's voice was filled with respect and anticipation. Charlotte's gaze shifted to the first sheet of paper, and when he saw the content, he was momentarily stunned. This was not a mathematics or energy conversion problem, but an extremely complicated hypothetical problem, and it even had biological elements. Charlotte suddenly understood that this was a problem related to E. Although the Heavenly Jewel Academy had E, it was not perfect. This problem had been bothering them for a long time. Should he solve it? If he could, of course, Charlotte could solve it. But what would happen if he solved it? He had to face this problem. Mr. Xiao, can you solve it? Bai Ling asked tentatively. She was a little impatient. Charlotte frowned. Miss Bai Ling, this question of yours has stumped me. Please help us, Bai Ling begged. Well, Charlotte looked hesitant. If you can't solve it, just say it. Stop pretending, Huang Kai said. Charlotte looked at Huang Kai and suddenly said, I'm very afraid with Mr. Huang here. Can you ask him to leave? If he doesn't leave, I can't solve the question. You. Huang Kai was furious, and he clenched his right fist. Tang Sheng said, Huang Kai, why don't you go back first? I'll look for you later. Huang Kai waved his hand and walked away. Tang Sheng stood beside Bai Ling and said with a smile, Mr. Xia, look, I've offended Huang Kai. But it doesn't matter. He has a fiery temper. He'll be fine after a while. Now that there's no problem, you can solve it. Solve it. And, all right, I'll solve it now. Charlotte picked up a pen and started calculating on a blank piece of paper. Tang Sheng looked at the paper under Charlotte's pen, his eyes shining. Although he tried his best to suppress the excitement and ecstasy in his heart, he could not. Because of his excitement, his hands were trembling slightly. If Charlotte could give the answer, then the problem that had been bothering the Heavenly Jewel Academy for decades could be solved, and the Academy would become even stronger. However, as Tang Sheng waited anxiously, more than 10 seconds passed, and Xia Lei's pen only wrote a 1 on the paper. "Mr. Xia, hurry up and solve it," Tang Sheng urged. Charlotte suddenly put down the pen. "Forget it. My thinking is not good, and I'm afraid I'll solve it wrong. Let's talk about it tomorrow. I'm going back to sleep. I'll solve this problem after a good sleep." Tang Sheng's expression at the moment was like he had picked up a top-grade spiritual, or only to find it was just a rotten stone in the blink of an eye. "I'll send you back," Bai Ling said. "I still have some questions to ask Mr. Xia." "Okay, let's go," Charlotte said with a smile. The fish had taken the bait, not one, but a school. Chapter 1469. Walking out of Tang Sheng's residence, Charlotte said, "Commander Kanto, you can go back first. I'll send teacher Bai Ling home." The young lady had become a teacher. Charlotte seemed to have the trait of being familiar with people. Kanto Nana looked at Charlotte strangely and didn't say anything. Bai Ling said, "Mr. Xia, I'm here to send you home." "Why are you sending me home?" Charlotte said, "There's no reason for a lady to send a man home. It should be a man sending a lady home." He smiled. "A man should be gentlemanly." Kanto Nana curled her lips and said in a slightly sour tone, "I really didn't know that Mr. Xia was such a gentlemanly man." That was true. Charlotte was rude to her. But when it came to Bai Ling, he was talking about gentlemanly. What kind of logic was that? "Go back. Hurry up," Charlotte urged. "Humph." Kanto Nana turned and walked away. "Commander Kanto," Bai Ling wanted to stop Kanto Nana and explain something to her, but Kanto Nana didn't even turn her head. "Don't worry about her. Let's go," Charlotte said. Bai Ling smiled bitterly. "Commander Kanto seems to have misunderstood something." Charlotte said, "What misunderstanding? We're not lovers." Bai Ling said, "I can see that she likes you." "Really?" Charlotte looked very surprised. "Why can't I see that? But there are quite a lot of people who like me." Bai Ling pursed her lips and smiled. Okay, let's go. You look good when you smile." "You should smile more," Charlotte said. "Don't say that." Bai Ling avoided Charlotte's eyes. Her cheeks were slightly red, but there was still a smile on her lips. When it came to flirting with girls, from Earth to the New World, Charlotte had already flirted with more than a dozen girls. How could his experience be as simple as abundant? He naturally had his reasons for flirting with Bai Ling. "Miss Bailing, do you think my point of view is correct?" Charlotte followed behind Bai Ling. The Blue Moon people copied the Ahemus technology, and their technology has not developed rapidly in the past few thousand years. This is the proof. Your point of view is very novel, but if you think about it carefully, it seems to be the case. I don't know much about the technology of the Ahemus Empire, and I don't know much about the war between the Ahemus Empire and the Blue Moon people. But judging from the war between the Blue Moon people and us humans, they seem to be the same as before. There hasn't been any obvious technological advancement, Bai Ling said. "Do you know anything about spirit ores?" "Of course, but we still can't completely control that kind of energy. Energy conversion technology is really too poor, so I entered the field of energy conversion. If you have any questions, you can ask me. I know a lot. Thank you so much. I have a question to ask you." The two of them chatted about academic issues as they walked. Unknowingly, they arrived at the entrance of a karst cave. "I'm here," Bai Ling said, looking like she hadn't had enough. Along the way, Charlotte had easily solved a few problems that had troubled her. It gave her the feeling that Charlotte was a treasure trove of knowledge. He knew everything and could solve any problem. She even wanted to extend the road home for another 10 kilometers. She wanted to tell Charlotte all the problems that she couldn't solve and ask him to help her solve them. To a knowledgeable woman like Bai Ling, a super genius like Charlotte was irresistible. "Aren't you going to invite me in?" Charlotte asked with a smile. Bai Ling was slightly taken aback, and a blush appeared on her cheeks. "That," Charlotte interrupted her. "I need to pee." Bai Ling originally wanted to decline, but since Charlotte had such a need, it would be unreasonable of her to decline again. He had helped her solve so many problems. Wouldn't it be unreasonable if she didn't even let him use the toilet? Therefore, after hearing what Charlotte said, she didn't even think much about it. She nodded and said, "Come in with me." Bai Ling's residence was the same as Tang Sheng's residence. There was a door, and it was a very thick alloy door. Bai Ling entered the password and opened the door. Charlotte followed her in. Bai Ling's house didn't have any luxurious decorations. It looked very simple, but it was very complicated. Her furniture and decorations were simple, but there were a lot of experimental equipment and books. It looked a little messy. Charlotte's first impression was that it wasn't a woman's house, but a Frankenstein's house. However, her house also had a unique feature, and that was the fragrance. As soon as he walked into her house, Charlotte smelled a faint fragrance, but he couldn't find anything that emitted it. These fragrances were the remnants of the lark's body fragrance in the air. They were fresh and elegant, giving people a very comfortable and tranquil feeling when they smelled them. "My place is a little messy. I'm sorry," Bai Ling said awkwardly. "It's nothing. I feel good." Charlotte said, "Where's the toilet?" I actually forgot that you came here to use the toilet. It's there. Just go in." Bai Ling pointed to a direction for Charlotte. She really couldn't say the word toilet, so she changed the toilet that Charlotte was talking about to toilet. Even so, saying such things to a man still made her feel embarrassed, and the blush on her face didn't stop. Charlotte walked in the direction she pointed to, and along the way, he quickly scanned the house from the corner of his eyes. When he reached the door of the toilet, he came to a conclusion. Bai Ling's house didn't have any surveillance cameras. This was not surprising to Charlotte. Bai Ling was an important person in the Heavenly Jewel Academy, and she was also a female. How could she allow the Academy to install surveillance cameras in her house? After entering the toilet, Charlotte carefully checked the situation in the toilet, and after confirming that there were no surveillance cameras or listening devices, he asked Xiao Lei to release the water. He purposely made the sound of the water splashing loudly, continuing to build up his rough image. The sound of water splashing could be heard from the bathroom. Bai Ling frowned, and a strange smile appeared on her lips. This man is so knowledgeable, yet he's so rude. It's really strange. He's really interesting. She actually wanted to say that, but she was too embarrassed to say it. Charlotte walked out of the toilet with a smile on his face. "Thank you. There's nothing to thank me for," Bai Ling said. After that, she said, "You can go back first. I'll come look for you tomorrow morning." Charlotte nodded and said, "Teacher Bai Ling, before I leave, I need your help." "What can I do for you?" Charlotte said, "Just now, I think a small bug flew into my eye. Help me take a look, and if possible, help me blow it." "Huh?" Bai Ling was suddenly in a dilemma. She didn't expect Charlotte to ask her for this kind of help. "It's fine if you don't blow it, but help me see where it is, and I'll get it out myself," Charlotte said. "Okay." Bai Ling moved closer and carefully got close to Charlotte's face. The charming fragrance suddenly became rich, and Charlotte felt that even the air that came out of her nostrils was fragrant. Some people were born with the smell of a fox, and some people were born with the smell of a body. The hands of the Creator were full of randomness. She got close to Charlotte and looked into his eyes. Bai Ling didn't see any bugs, but she saw a pair of dark eyes, like a black hole in the universe, sucking her in. Her thoughts suddenly stopped, and she stood there motionless. She heard some strange sounds, which seemed to be branded in her brain in the deepest part of her subconscious, but she couldn't feel the sound at all. Charlotte backed away. Bai Ling, however, was still standing there, her upper body slightly leaning forward. Her breasts were protruding, and her neckline exposed a bit of snow white. The shape of her breasts, the depth of her white cleavage, all of them were full of strong temptation, making it hard for people to resist the imagination. Her perky buttocks were slightly tilted backward, full and plump, and together with her slender waist and long legs, they formed an extremely sexy curve. Purity and sexiness, intellectuality and charm. These elements could be found in her body, and they perfectly blended together, which was why she was recognized as the prettiest girl in the school. She seemed to have been enchanted by Charlotte, and now Charlotte could do anything to her. But Charlotte did something else. He moved his eyes away from Bai Ling's body and quickly walked to a corner of the room, where there was a pile of experimental equipment and a computer. The computers of this time were certainly more advanced and powerful than the computers on Earth, but he was no longer the Charlotte on Earth. His brain stored a lot of knowledge, and he had personally repaired an Ahemus Empire spaceship. Thus, the computers here were very simple for him, and he could easily use them 20 minutes later. Bai Ling shook her head slightly, looking a little confused. Why am I spacing out? Did you see that? Charlotte urged. That little bug. Only then did Bai Ling remember that she wanted to help. She focused her gaze on Charlotte's eyes and looked carefully. Then, she said, "No, there are no bugs. No, maybe I rubbed it off when I was rubbing it earlier. Thank you, I'm leaving." Charlotte said goodbye and turned to leave. Bai Ling looked at Charlotte's back until Charlotte disappeared from her sight. Then, she murmured, "What a strange feeling. What's wrong with me?" It was a strange feeling, but she did not know what it was exactly. After leaving Bai Ling's house, not long after, a man blocked Charlotte's way. "Mr. Xiao, what were you doing at Teacher Bai Ling's house?" Huang Kai's face was gloomy, and his eyes were frighteningly cold. Charlotte smiled. "Oh, it's Captain Huang. Are you interrogating me or asking me? Whatever you think. Just answer my question." Huang Kai's tone was not friendly. Charlotte shrugged. "Well, no problem. I sent Teacher Bai Ling home. I was going to leave, but Teacher Bai Ling asked me a question, and I helped her solve it. So, I stayed at her house for a while. Are you satisfied with the answer?" You better not lie." "Why would I lie to you? If you don't believe me, you can go ask Teacher Bai Ling. I'm warning you. Teacher Bai Ling is Tang Sheng's woman. You better stay away from her, or else." "Or else what?" Huang Kai said coldly. "Don't pretend. If you don't know what's good for you, there will only be one end for you. Feed the fishes in the sea." Charlotte smiled. "Thank you for reminding me. I will stay away from Teacher Bai Ling, but you have to take care of her. She said she will come to look for me tomorrow morning." "What should I do?" A trace of anger appeared on Huang Kai's face. "You're being sincere, aren't you?" Charlotte suddenly moved in front of Huang Kai, his face expressionless, and his voice was terrifyingly cold. "Although this is the Heavenly Jewel Academy, is not a small place with just a few people. I, Charlotte, have never been afraid of anyone. If you can threaten me, then come at me. Finally, I have to remind you that I might not be the one to be fed to the fishes." After saying that, Charlotte turned to leave. Huang Kai looked at Charlotte's back, his eyes as sharp as knives. Chapter 1470. Xiao Lei went straight to the bathroom when he returned to the cave where he was temporarily staying. He took off his clothes and casually threw them on top of the rock where the surveillance camera was hidden. He turned on a shower head, but did not take a shower. He took out several electronic parts from his pockets, then squatted under the rock and quickly assembled them. 10 minutes later, a palm-sized electronic device was born. Charlotte activated it, and a 3D projection appeared in the bathroom, looking exactly like him. At the same time, a prompt appeared on the box-shaped electronic device, cutting off real-time surveillance, entering unlimited implant mode, virtual image successfully synchronized with surveillance center. The virtual Charlotte walked out of the bathroom, wrapped in a towel, and walked towards the bed. When he reached the bed, he did not cover himself with the blanket, but laid down on it to sleep. The virtual person could not lift the blanket and crawl into bed. Charlotte walked out of the bathroom, and the jacket he had taken off returned to his body. This was the reason why he wanted to send Bai Ling home and hypnotize her. He was constantly under the strict surveillance of the Heavenly Jewel Academy, and he had to find a way to escape. The electronic parts used to assemble the smart jammer were stolen from Bai Ling's house, and the program was also programmed in the computer in Bai Ling's house. The smart jammer that he had casually made could not only interfere with the surveillance cameras in the cave, but it could also project a 3D image that was 98% realistic. At this moment, the Heavenly Jewel Academy Surveillance Center staff saw him sleeping on the bed, but in reality, he had already walked into the tunnel in the cave. The tunnels in the volcano were all over the place, but most of them were the same. If he was lucky, he felt that he might be able to sneak into a higher-level place and obtain valuable clues. After entering the tunnel, Charlotte kept walking forward. Every time he passed a bend or a tunnel, he would ask Xiao Lei to sprinkle some water on the ground. Using a military knife to carve marks on the walls was a more convenient and dignified way to solve the problem, but he could not do that. That was because no matter how small the marks were, no matter how hidden they would be left behind forever, and would be discovered if one was more careful. With his extraordinary sense of smell, he would be able to smell the scent he left behind the next day. So, this was actually a way to solve the problem without leaving a trace. It's just that's all. Keep walking, keep walking. Half an hour later, Charlotte arrived at a position parallel to the bottom of the college, which was also parallel to the bottom of the honeycomb. He stopped his tracks and raised a piece of spirit ore above his head, letting the light blue light shine on a wider area. He saw two forks, one extending horizontally, the other slanting underground. Be it horizontally or diagonally downwards, there was no end in sight. In absolute darkness, his vision would also be limited, because the principle of the eye seeing objects was the refraction of light. If there was no light, the object would not be able to refract light, and his eyes would not be able to see. Should he continue down, or should he walk sideways? Charlotte hesitated for a moment, but quickly made a decision. He walked towards the horizontal branching tunnel. There might be some secrets underground, but now is not the time to explore the underground world. The Heavenly Jewel Academy chose this place, so there must be a reason. I'd better understand the general structure of the Heavenly Jewel Academy first. As he walked, Charlotte thought to himself, this was another east-west branching tunnel. There were more tunnels within tunnels, and more tunnels within tunnels. Along the way, Charlotte had entered at least 50 to 40 tunnels. If it were anyone else, they would have long been lost in this cobweb-like underground world. But to him, it was as if he had a god's view. Everywhere he walked, a map was left in his head, and this map would automatically update as his footsteps extended. Furthermore, he had a second layer of insurance, his urine. Now, even if he completely lost all light and could not see anything, he could still walk out of this underground maze with the scent of his urine. After about 2 kilometers, Charlotte stopped again. In front of him was a cliff, and below it was a bottomless abyss. Opposite him was a precipice, and above his head, lifting his head, Charlotte stared blankly at the scene above him. It was a huge metal plate, and it was not any ordinary steel plate, but a silver titanium alloy. Titanium alloy was the main alloy used by humans for aviation. It was usually used on fighter aircrafts and spacecrafts. Although he had not seen any human spacecrafts in this world, he knew that titanium alloy was still the main alloy used for manufacturing spacecrafts. Of course, this world's titanium alloy technology was much more advanced than Earth's titanium alloy technology. However, here in this pitch-black underground world, it was actually being used as a floor. Even if the Heavenly Jewel Academy is rich in resources, it shouldn't be possible to use titanium alloy as a floor, right? There must be something wrong with it. Charlotte thought to himself as he started to look for a way to climb up. Right at that moment, a foul smell wafted into his nose, and his gaze shifted to the abyss below. That foul smell was the stench of rotting corpses. There were corpses down there. Titanium alloy floor, corpses. This place was filled with a strange aura. Charlotte removed the blue tank tendon that was wrapped around the blue tank battle armor. The blue tank battle armor's blue tank tendon was very thin, and it wrapped around the blue tank battle armor in circles. Usually, it looked like a belt, but it was a different entity from the blue tank battle armor. Charlotte untied it, and in his hands was a rope that was about 30 meters long. He tied the spirit or used for illumination to one end of the blue tank tendon rope and then lowered it into the abyss. Actually, it was not an abyss, because if it was a few hundred meters or even 1,000 meters deep, the stench of corpses would not float up. He estimated that the abyss in front of him was only a few dozen meters high. As expected, when the blue tank tendon rope reached the end, his eyes finally saw the situation below clearly with the light emitted by the spirit oar. Below the cliff was a huge pit about 100 meters high. The bottom of the pit was filled with corpses, some of which were so badly decomposed that their faces could not be recognized. Some of the corpses were thrown down not long ago, and their faces and clothes could still be seen clearly. A fresh corpse entered Charlotte's sight. It was a young face. Black blood seeped out of his eyes, and his death was horrifying. There was a number on his clothes, number 145. Wasn't he the tester who had X-ray vision according to the report? Charlotte suddenly remembered the report, and his eyes moved to the titanium alloy floor above his head. Earlier, he had suspected that there was something wrong with it, but now he was sure that there was something wrong with it. A few minutes later, Charlotte arrived at the bottom of the pit. He stepped over the highly decomposed corpses and came to number 145 side. A person who also had X-ray vision was dead, and Charlotte could not resist the temptation to find some clues or reason from him. When he came to number 145 side, Charlotte did not hesitate and immediately activated his X-ray vision, allowing his eyes to look into number 145's body. He saw the report in Nana's memory, and the report was on Tang Sheng's desk, and it was open. In other words, Tang Sheng was still reading the report at that time, and the body had not been dealt with. The time was less than 4 hours from now, and the disposal of the body would probably be delayed. Therefore, number 145's body was actually a relatively fresh one. In that case, his brain might not be truly dead. This was what Charlotte wanted to do. He wanted to dig out valuable information from number 145's brain. The standard for a person's death was the cessation of their heartbeat and breathing, but for the brain, the time of death was much longer. After a person died, his brain even had to go through 3 days before it was truly dead. As long as his brain was not truly dead, theoretically, he could dig out information from number 145's brain. The results of the X-ray vision soon came out. Number 145's internal organs were not decomposed, and neither was his brain. Most of his brain cells were still alive, but they were not capable of thinking. After the results of the X-ray vision came out, the imprint of the universe in the depths of Charlotte's soul trembled slightly. The power of the imprint immediately surged out of his body and entered number 145's brain. Under the effect of the imprint, number 145's brain cells were immediately nourished, and they began to become active. Although they could no longer control the nerves to awaken number 145's corpse, their thoughts had recovered. Although it was only a partial recovery, it was enough for Charlotte. More and more brain waves entered Charlotte's brain, and his brain processed them at the same time. The relevant information appeared in his brain. This information included fragments of memories, heard voices, signed documents, and so on. It was all kinds of miscellaneous information, and it was all-encompassing. After his brain filtered through the information, an image of a memory appeared in Charlotte's brain. It was in a huge metal room. When it appeared in Charlotte's brain, Charlotte's heart jumped violently. He could not help but look up at the titanium alloy floor above his head. Previously, he could not understand why the Heavenly Jewel Academy would use titanium alloy as a floor, but now he understood. It was not a floor, but the bottom of a spaceship. This spaceship could not possibly have the ability of the Origin to travel through any space or time at will, or even to go underground to hide. It was not difficult to guess that a large part of this spaceship must be in the endless sea. Charlotte's shock did not affect his brain as it continued to replay the memory of number 145. The huge military room was filled with scientific research and experimental equipment. Huang Kai and Tang Sheng were both in that room. Number 145 looked very nervous and excited in front of them. Huang Kai took out a syringe from an open portable freezer. The syringe was filled with some kind of liquid. It was mostly a pure color, but there were many sparkling things in it, looking like stars in the sky. Charlotte's heart skipped a beat. Could that be AE's original form? At this time, Huang Kai smiled and said, "Number 145, this is the original fluid for artificial evolution. As long as you inject it, you will gain power as strong as us and become a branded warrior. Are you ready?" Number 145 said excitedly, "I'm ready." Huang Kai inserted the syringe into number 145's artery. After the injection was completed, number 145's body did not have any obvious reaction. He stood in front of Huang Kai and Tang Sheng, carefully feeling the changes in his body. "Go back and rest," Tang Sheng said. "There won't be a reaction so soon, but I believe you will succeed. You're the most outstanding among this batch of testers. Seize the opportunity. The branded army looks forward to your joining." "Thank you, sir." Number 145 saluted, then turned and left. Chapter 1471. More and more truths came to light. The AE did not succeed, and Professor Pompey had found another way to do it, organizing some researchers to do new research. In the end, they were targeted by Blackbeard's men and killed before they could do anything about it. Although the Heavenly Jewel Academy's AE was not a complete success, it was still relatively close to success with 100 branded warriors. During dinner, Tang Sheng, Huang Kai, and even Bai Ling had been very grateful to him for solving the problem. That was actually proof. At that time, Tang Sheng and Huang Kai had been very nervous and excited, and the reason was not hard to guess. He had also used AE before, and he knew what kind of side effects would occur after starting the path of evolution. Furthermore, the side effects would get stronger and stronger, eventually turning the person into a demon. Every branded warrior was suffering from terrible side effects, and the risk was getting higher and higher. This was the reason why the Heavenly Jewel Academy urgently wanted a perfect E and solve the problem. After figuring this out, the conjecture that had once made Xia Lei break out in a cold sweat emerged again. The holy thunder from 1,000 years ago was none other than his predecessor. His predecessor had the same mission as him, to find the missing piece of the box of the world, but his predecessor had failed. Before he failed, he had made some preparations, sending the incomplete AE back to Earth to wait for his reincarnation. Now he was here, with the same mission, to find the missing piece of the box of the world, and at the same time to perfect E, preparing for the next reincarnation. The next time, the reincarnated person would receive better resources, a higher starting point, and come back with the same fate, failure after failure, reincarnation after reincarnation, correcting mistakes and failure, and starting all over again. He was the chosen one by the origin, and he could not escape his own fate. In the darkness, in the thick stench of rotting corpses, Xia Lei put away his imagination and said to himself, "If the holy thunder from 1,000 years ago was my predecessor, and I am in the cycle of reincarnation set by origin, then I hope this is the last time. I have to find that piece." Fragments of new memories surfaced in his mind. It was number 145 walking through a metal tunnel. On both sides of the tunnel were metal doors. He stopped at the end of the tunnel, and a scanning device scanned him. The hatch at the end of the tunnel opened, and a huge space appeared in front of him. He walked in. It was the bridge of the spaceship. There were countless devices in the bridge, as well as a very, very large window. Through the window, he could see the blue seawater. A school of silver fish was swimming past the window. Suddenly, a ferocious big fish leaped up from below, opened its bloody mouth, and swallowed more than half of the group of small silver fish. All of this seemed to be a common sight for the people in the bridge, and no one even spared a glance at it. Number 145 walked up to a white-haired old man and bowed respectfully. "Dean, number 145 reporting for duty." This white-haired old man was the principal of the Heavenly Jewel Master Academy, Roland. "It's good that you're here. Do you know why I asked you to come?" said Roland. Yes, I'm ready, number 145 said with determination in his eyes. That's good. Roland pointed at the 3 boxes on the console and said, one of your companions is in a cabin without oxygen. He has about 3 minutes left. The password to open the cabin door is in one of the boxes. You have to see the password without opening the box, and then use 2 minutes to open the cabin door and rescue your companion. Number 145 suddenly became nervous. He stared at the 3 boxes. His eyes began to shine brightly, as if a light bulb had encountered a strong electric current. Time passed bit by bit, but he still couldn't see the password in the box. He became a little anxious. Roland had been observing number 145 the whole time. A minute had passed, but number 145 still hadn't found the password he had hidden in the box. Roland frowned. At this moment, blood suddenly seeped out of number 145's eyes. He looked very scary, but just as he started to bleed, he suddenly said excitedly, I see it. I'll go save him right now. Number 145 turned around and ran toward the cabin door he had come from. This memory was obviously the memory of a period of time after number 145 was injected with the AE solution. His ability had begun to show. Charlotte's ability also started from X-ray vision. At first, his eyes also had a feeling of shining, but it was only a flash, and it was not obvious at all. Moreover, he had never bled because of X-ray vision. He had also experienced side effects, but they were just hallucinations and physical weakness. Other than that, everything else was normal. This memory gave Charlotte a new conjecture. They are both imperfect things, but the AE solution I got is not even as good as the one number 145 got. After all, it has been 1,000 years. No matter how incompetent the Heavenly Jewel Academy is, they should at least be able to improve something that has been powerful for 1,000 years, right? So why don't I have such terrible side effects? Could it be because I am the chosen one of the origin? That I am the reincarnation of the Holy Thunder? That I have more perfect genes? This conjecture could not be confirmed. A new memory fragment appeared in his mind. It was in another metal room. It looked like a medical cabin with some medical equipment and beds. Number 145 was lying on the bed. His eyes were bleeding, and he looked like he was in pain. Huang Kai and Tang Sheng were standing beside the bed, along with Suya and Ma Kuan. Suya's eyes were filled with tears, and she was in low spirits. Ma Kuan, who was standing beside her, was expressionless. He was not moved by number 145's tragic experience. Tang Sheng said, Suya, you have already seen him. Let's go. Number 145, take care. You will definitely get better, Suya said, her voice full of sympathy and sadness. In the branded army, those who were not branded warriors only had a number but no name. However, from Suya's reaction, she seemed to be very familiar with this number 145. They should be friends. Huang Kai frowned and scolded. Suya, enough, get out. Suya bit her lip, turned around, and walked towards the door. Ma Kuan followed Suya out, not forgetting to scold her. Suya, what's wrong with you? You have to remember, you are a branded warrior. Why are you crying? You're my girlfriend. How could you have such a bad performance in front of the military officer and the captain? I feel embarrassed for you. You're not allowed to do this in the future, remember? Suya did not bicker with Ma Kuan. She was really not in the mood. In the medical bay, Huang Kai and Tang Sheng were talking. What a pity. According to the Academy's historical records, he is the only one with X-ray vision, and he is going to die soon, Huang Kai said gloomily. Tang Sheng said, the eye is a very fragile organ. The success rate of an ability appearing in the eye is very low. Number 145's appearance has given us a revelation. Fragile organs like the brain and eyes may also be the first to mutate, opening a special path of evolution. We have learned something. Number 145's example will bring us a lot of research value. Then what do we do with his body? Huang Kai asked. Take samples of what needs to be taken, then throw them into the pit. No corpses will be left on the Nuwa. That is the rule, Tang Sheng said. Then I know what to do, Huang Kai said. At that moment, number 145 spoke weakly. Save me. Save me. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Number 145. You are awake, Tang Sheng said calmly. Tell me, can you still see? I can barely see, but I can't use X-ray vision anymore. Do you still feel anything? I'm in so much pain, so much pain. I can't move, and it feels like all the nerves in my body are broken. Save me. You are already a cripple. You know the rules here. Once you are eliminated, only death awaits you. The Academy will not waste resources to save you, and they will not raise a cripple. Number 145. Accept your fate. Tang Sheng's voice was emotionless, not to mention sympathy. Tang Sheng gave Huang Kai a look, and Huang Kai understood and nodded. Tang Sheng turned around and left the medical bay. Huang Kai walked to the bed. Number 145, you are in a lot of pain now. I can help you end this pain in advance. Do you want to do this? No, I don't want to die. Number 145 seemed to understand what Huang Kai was trying to do. His voice was filled with fear. Huang Kai sneered. That won't do. The longer you lie here, the Academy will waste a lot of resources. What right as a cripple like you have to live and waste the resources that only the living can enjoy? Go on your way. No. Huang Kai grabbed number 145's neck. Unable to struggle, number 145's eyes were soon plunged into darkness. Charlotte withdrew his branding power from number 145's body. The information he dug out from number 145's brain was far more than that. However, that information was not important to him and had no value at all, so he was too lazy to organize and reproduce it. Number 145 was already dead. The dead should be respected, so he would let him keep his personal secrets. Charlotte climbed up the cliff. He looked up at the titanium alloy hull of the Nuwa above him, and a cold smile appeared at the corner of his lips. Nuwa? Mending the sky, or creating humans. It's just an interest group controlled by a group of greedy and inhumane people. Now that I know so many of your secrets, I won't go easy on you. If the Heavenly Jewel Academy was really like what Kong Tu Nana had said before, an upright academy that fought hard to save humanity, he would be condemned by his conscience if he stole from the Heavenly Jewel Academy or did anything that would harm the Academy's interests. But now he was not going to go easy on them. The titanium alloy plate above his head was a hatch for discarding corpses and trash. It was not impossible to enter, but it would take some time and some tricks. Charlotte hesitated for a moment and gave up. He still had time, and there was no need to invade the Nuwa tonight. Charlotte returned to the karst cave he lived in from the way he came. It took him only half the time to enter. After returning to the karst cave, he checked the smart interference device to make sure that no one had entered his karst cave. Only then did he relax. If there was a flaw in his plan, it would be this karst cave. There was no door to the karst cave, and anyone could enter. If someone came in and paid a little attention, they would realize that the person lying on the bed was just a projection, and then he would be exposed. But he had no other choice but to take this risk. However, he also had a remedy, which was to hypnotize the person who discovered his secret and directly erase that person's memory. For the rest of the night, Charlotte could not sleep. Chapter 1472. Bailing came early the next morning. She had changed the white dress from yesterday into a gray hooded sweater and a pair of tight sports pants. The cotton dress was not very skin-tight, and her plump buttocks and small waist formed an S-shaped curve, mature and attractive. No matter how she dressed, she was so sexy and charming. She was a natural clothes rack. She was holding a large pile of documents in her hands. It seemed that she had sorted out a lot of problems that she wanted Charlotte to solve for her last night. Seeing the documents in her hands, Charlotte couldn't help but make a joke. "Ms. Bailing, you can come empty-handed. Why did you bring so many gifts?" Bailing blushed slightly. "Mr. Xia, I know this will take up a lot of your time, but I'll make it up to you," Charlotte said with a smile. "How about you make it up to me?" Bailing thought for a moment. "How about I treat you to dinner?" Charlotte said, "That's a deal. I want to eat your cooking." "Well, no problem." Bailing felt natural after a few words. At this time, Kananana came in and coughed. Well, I'm not disturbing you, am I? Bailing said, Commander Kantu, don't get me wrong. There's nothing between me and Mr. Xia. I just asked him to help me solve some problems. You don't know how difficult it is to meet a super genius like Mr. Xia. You bringing Mr. Xia here is really the luckiest thing that has happened to our academy in the past 1,000 years. Contanana said, Ms. Bailing, you don't have to explain to me. I'm not related to him. You're really not lovers? Last night, Charlotte had told her that he and Contanana were not lovers. However, due to Charlotte's personality and some of Contanana's emotions, she didn't believe Charlotte's words, so she confirmed it with Contanana. Of course not, Contanana said. For some reason, her tone was a little unnatural. Huh, Bai Ling suddenly laughed, looking very happy. That's good. I was worried that you would misunderstand. Since you are not lovers, then there will be no problem for me to discuss academic issues with Mr. Xia. Contanana's lips moved slightly, as if she wanted to say something, but in the end, she didn't say anything. Charlotte shrugged. Well, it seems like you won't let me go if I don't help you solve some problems. But this is not a place to work. Ms. Bailing, can you find a more professional place? I need a computer, preferably your office. My office? Bai Ling frowned. That's the experimental area. You need permission to enter. You don't have that kind of permission, and I don't have the authority to bring you in. How about this? I'll make an application to the council, and he'll definitely agree. Bailing walked to a corner of the cave and took out a communicator to contact Roland. Charlotte thought to himself, experimental area? It must be inside that spaceship. Will Roland allow me to go in? If he doesn't allow me to go in, I'll have to find a way to climb out of that pit of corpses. While thinking about this, Charlotte's ears had already locked onto Bailing. Even the conversation through the communicator could not escape his ears. He heard the conversation between Bailing and Roland. Dean, I'll apply for permission to bring Mr. Xia into the laboratory. Please approve it. Bring Charlotte into the laboratory? No, that's too risky. We haven't figured out his background yet. Roland's voice sounded. Dean, Bailing was a little anxious. Mr. Xia is the only super genius that our academy has encountered in the past 1,000 years. He can help us solve many problems, including that one. You know what I'm talking about. The communicator was silent for a while before Roland's voice sounded. Tang Sheng has already told me about this, and I'm also looking forward to him solving that problem. However, it's just solving a problem. He can do it anywhere. Why must he enter the laboratory? Let him solve the problem outside, and we'll provide him with whatever he needs. Bailing sighed in disappointment. All right, I'll try. You have to convince him. Roland's voice sounded. Bailing ended the call with Roland and returned to Charlotte and Contanana's side. She shrugged awkwardly. We researchers have no right. I applied, but I was rejected. Mr. Xia, I'm really sorry. Please choose another place. Charlotte smiled. It's all right. I'll choose another place. How about your house? I saw that you have a computer there. No problem. Bailing heaved a sigh of relief. She was afraid that Roland's rejection would make Charlotte unhappy, and Charlotte would not help her solve the problem. She did not expect Charlotte to not mind at all. Charlotte was not surprised by Roland's rejection. The Nuwa spaceship was one of the Heavenly Jewel Academy's top secrets. How could a person like him, who had just arrived for a day, enter it so casually? There was a ready-made example right beside him, and that was Contanana. Contanana had long-term access to the Heavenly Jewel Academy, but she did not remember the Nuwa spaceship in her mind. It was obvious that Contanana had never entered the spaceship. It seemed like he had to think of another way to get in. Why we have to go to Teacher Bailing's house? Contanana suddenly asked. Isn't it better to go to the library? Charlotte said, there are too many people in the library. It will affect my solving. Contanana glanced at Charlotte with a disdainful look. You have other intentions, don't you? Charlotte was speechless. Although Contanana's voice was soft, Bailing still heard it. She said, Commander Kantu, you've misunderstood. Mr. Xia and I are just solving the problem. There's nothing else. Contanana said, I believe you, but it's useless. What will your boyfriend, Tang Sheng, think? Hearing the name, Tang Sheng, Bailing's brow furrowed. and her mood dropped. Contanana seemed to sense something, and she said tentatively, Bailing, tell me, is there something wrong with you and Tang Sheng? Bailing bit her cherry lips, wanting to say something but hesitating. Contanana said, Don't worry, I'll keep it a secret. She then kicked Charlotte's foot. Charlotte also said, Yes, I'll keep it a secret too. Bailing sighed, I haven't dated any men before I graduated, and I have no experience in love. After I graduated, because of my excellent grades, I entered the laboratory and was in charge of research in the field of energy conversion. At that time, Tang Sheng appeared, and he took good care of me. He was gentle and considerate, and he was not bad-looking. So, I dated him. However, as I dated him for a long time, I realized that he was a very possessive man. As long as another man talked to me or behaved intimately with me, that man would be in trouble. Over time, the men in this college stayed away from me, and they didn't even dare to talk to me. Some time ago, I proposed to break up with him, but he didn't agree. He even threatened me, saying that if I dared to leave him, he would what? Bailing bit her cherry lips again. He would kill me, and the people who were good to me, my teachers and my friends. Contanana was surprised. That's impossible. Tang Sheng is such a gentle and elegant man. How could he say something like that? He must love you too much to say that, but I don't believe that he would do that. Bailing's voice was faint. How much do you know about him? Forget it. Let's not talk about this. I don't want to think about anything now. I just want to work, and I want to devote all my energy to work. How far have you developed your relationship? Bailing blushed. What do you mean? We're all women. You know what I'm asking. Contanana glanced at Charlotte. Cover your ears. Boring. Charlotte got up and walked to the bathroom. Say whatever you want. I don't want to listen. Charlotte entered the bathroom, but his ear was pressed against the back of the door. He was also very curious about how far Bailing and Tang Sheng had developed their relationship. How could he not listen? Bailing looked back at the closed door of the bathroom and then whispered, Commander Kantu, why are you asking me such a question? I'm so embarrassed. What's wrong with that? I'm the one who brought Charlotte here. For that sake, can you tell me a little? I'll keep a secret. Contanana's voice was heard. Sometimes, a woman's spirit of gossip was as strong as the spirit of the Revolutionary Army, and the commander was no exception. Bailing was silent for a moment before saying, I'm a very traditional woman. My first time will only be on the night of my wedding. I've been dating him for about 2 years, and we've only held hands 3 times. We haven't kissed, and we haven't slept together. Huh? Contanana was dumbfounded. You've only held hands 3 times in 2 years of dating. Can he hold it in? With his power and status in the academy, how many women have slept with him? Don't think that I don't know. I've seen female students come out of his room several times, but I pretended not to see them. Later, I realized that he didn't actually love me. He's the kind of person who wouldn't love anyone. He just wants to possess me. And the reason he wants to possess me is because I'm the so-called prettiest girl in the academy. Bailing's face was full of bitterness. Contanana sighed. I really didn't expect him to be such a person. She suddenly felt that the vulgar and crude Xia Kiki wasn't so annoying. Although he was lecherous, it was only on the surface. He was unbearably rude, but he wouldn't hurt anyone good. The sound of water flowing came from the bathroom, and the strange sound caused the 2 women's thoughts to shift from one man to the other. Bailing's face turned red again. She was especially sensitive, and she was always shy. Contanana's reaction was completely different from Bailing's. She looked in the direction of the bathroom. Mr. Xia, can't you lower your voice? There are 2 ladies in your room. Charlotte's voice came out. Commander Kantu, why don't you help me hold a little? That way, I can lower my voice a little. Bailing, go to hell. Contanana's voice came out. When Charlotte came out of the bathroom, he saw someone he didn't want to see. It was Huang Kai. Mr. Xia, the dean asked me to prepare a place for you to work. Huang Kai wasn't polite at all. In the library, I asked someone to prepare a room for you, and I've specially installed the computer you need. Come with me now. I'll take you to have a look. The library? There are so many people there, it will affect me. Charlotte said. Bailing added, Mr. Xia has already told me that he's going to work at my house. Huang Kai said, how can that be? The dean and the military officer won't agree. Mr. Xia, I don't think you want to cause any misunderstanding, do you? Charlotte smiled. Well, the library is the library. Take me to have a look. Chapter 1473. As expected, Huang Kai ordered someone to clean up a room. It was an unused office on the third floor of the library. The students had cleaned it up and brought in a computer, as well as a considerable amount of office supplies, such as pen and paper. Mr. Xia, this is your office. I hope you can solve that problem as soon as possible. Huang Kai said, you know, that problem is very important to the entire human race. Charlotte smiled and said indifferently, you make it sound like I can definitely solve it. Huang Kai furrowed his brow. Mr. Xiao, what do you mean? I didn't ask you to solve it. I know there might be some conflicts between us, but for the sake of the future of humanity, I believe you will make the right choice. I'll try my best. All right, you can go now. I don't like to be disturbed when I'm working. Charlotte said. Huang Kai snorted coldly, his gaze landing on Kong Tu Nana. Commander Kong Tu, I have something to show you. Come with me. Don't disturb Mr. Xia. Kong Tu Nana did not move. What is it? Can I read it here? Huang Kai said, it's not convenient for me to show you here. Kong Tu Nana said, then I won't read it. You. Huang Kai was furious. He had not expected Kong Tu Nana to reject him so directly, not giving him any face at all. In a heavenly Jewel Academy, how many people dared to not give him face? In the Branded Legion, there were only 5 captains out of 100 branded warriors, and he was destined to take over Tang Sheng's position. The military officers of the Heavenly Jewel Academy were actually the Legion commanders. Kong Tu Nana did not seem to have any intention of making amends, and her tone was merciless. Leader Huang, I think there must be some misunderstanding between us. If it's not convenient for me to read it here, I really don't want to read it. Please forgive me. Bai Ling's story had changed her view of some people, including Huang Kai. All right, since that's the case, pretend I didn't say anything. Huang Kai turned and left. After Huang Kai left, Kong Tu Nana said, arrogant fellow, don't think I don't know what he's thinking. Bai Ling smiled and said, he wants to pursue you, but he has forgotten that you are the commander-in-chief of the resistance army. Not just any man can catch your eye. Charlotte did not participate in the conversation between the two women. He turned on the computer provided by the academy. In the end, he discovered that this computer was not connected to the academy's network at all. He could only use this computer to calculate or draw, and there was no way he could use it to enter the academy's internal network to steal any confidential information. At this moment, there was a sudden commotion in the library. Some people were laughing, while others were whistling. This was not the kind of noise that should happen in a place like a library. What happened? Kana Nana asked curiously. Bai Ling shook her head. I don't know. It's strange. Let's go and take a look. The two women walked toward the door at the same time. Charlotte also got up from his desk and went to the guardrail of the corridor outside the door. Outside the door was a corridor. Standing by the guardrail, one could overlook the entire interior of the library. At this time, the railings of the second and third floors were full of people, and the hall on the ground floor was also full of people. In the middle of the hall, a holographic projection was playing. It was a surveillance video of Charlotte bathing. He was scrubbing Xiaolei, muttering to himself that he wanted to eat Nana's meat. His actions were wretched, and so was his expression. Wow, it's so big, so white. I've never seen a guy like this. It's like he's carved out of jade. Isn't that the visitor? Why is he so perverted? Yeah, what's wrong with the academy? Why is anyone allowed in? Disgusting, perverted. Isn't Nana the commander-in-chief of the resistance army? She's one of the women I admire the most. Why would she be a guarantor for such a person? Yeah, I really don't understand. Even I feel bad for her. She's probably been deceived. In this world, there are many bad people, but there are even more liars. I wonder how Nana will feel after seeing this video. She'll definitely be embarrassed, right? Hey, look at the third floor. The male lead. Haha, that's the guy. Oh my god, he still has the cheek to watch. Kananana is here too. Wow. There's also our academy's teacher, Hua Bailing. Why are the two goddesses by that pervert's side? We should chase that guy out of the academy. His presence here is a disgrace to our academy's reputation. Realizing that the male lead was here, the noisy scene immediately escalated. Many boys jeered, and some even scolded Charlotte. At this moment, Charlotte was no longer the hero who had killed Royce, nor was he a super genius. He had become a perverted pervert, just like a rat crossing the street. But facing the mockery, insults, and jeers, Charlotte wasn't angry at all. Not only was he angry, he even had a faint smile on his face, as if he was enjoying the feeling of being the main character. The two girls standing beside him, Kantanana and Bailing, had a different feeling. When the two girls saw Charlotte rubbing his leg, they were first surprised, then blushed. After hearing what he said to himself, the two girls, especially Kananana, were so embarrassed that they wanted to find a hole to hide in. When the academy students found out that they were with Charlotte and jeered, the two girls' gazes converged on Charlotte's face at the same time. They thought that Xia Lei's face would turn red and he would be too ashamed to show his face. But all they saw was a smile that was at ease. They didn't feel good at all. As bystanders, they all felt ashamed, but he actually seemed to be enjoying it. A pervert is a pervert. You. Kantanana stared at Charlotte with a murderous look. You can still laugh. Aren't you going to explain yourself? Charlotte laughed. Explain what? Which one of us wasn't born naked into this world? What's there to hide? Besides, I'm taking a bath. Do I have to take a bath with my clothes on? What you said. Kantanana reminded him fiercely. Charlotte laughed. I really thought so. It's normal for men to have some fantasies when they're taking a bath. If I knew that someone had installed a camera in my bathroom, I definitely wouldn't have said that. Huang Kai is really something. It's bad enough that he secretly filmed a man taking a bath, but he actually played it in the library. He must be crazy. By the way, I think this is what he wanted to give you. You didn't go with him, so he played in the library. Kantanana was stunned for a moment. Charlotte's words suddenly made her understand. Charlotte was taking a bath normally. It wasn't too much to talk nonsense while taking a bath. At most, he had improper thoughts about her. He was a pervert, so wasn't that a normal thing for a pervert? The one who really went too far was Huang Kai. He installed a camera in Charlotte's bathroom. Not only did he secretly film Charlotte taking a bath, but he also played the video in a place like the library. This was what a villain would do. Mr. Xia, don't be angry. I'll go to the dean now and ask him to investigate this matter. I'll ask him to give you an explanation. Bailing didn't really hate the content of the surveillance video. It was just that she felt embarrassed when she first saw it. After Charlotte's explanation, she was worried that Charlotte would be angry and leave. If that happened, she wouldn't be able to solve the problems that had been bothering her. Bailing left as soon as she said that, and Charlotte didn't stop her. His eyes moved to the crowd and soon found Huang Kai. Huang Kai was also looking up at Charlotte. His face was full of a gloating smile. Charlotte also smiled at Huang Kai, then gave him a thumbs up and said in a voice that only he could hear, "If I dare to let you film it, I don't care if you play it. But if you play it, then you're dead. I've already figured out the situation. Let's make our move tonight. You'll be my first target. You're dead." When he first came to the Heavenly Jewel Academy, he didn't know the situation here, and he had a certain degree of fear towards the branded warriors. After this series of events, as well as the situation inside the academy, he no longer had the fear he had when he first came here. This was because he had figured out the strength of these so-called branded warriors, as well as the situation inside the academy. There were no restrictions here, and he could fight in his strongest state. The branded warriors of the Heavenly Jewel Academy were indeed very strong, but that depended on the opponent. For ordinary Blue Moon people and Blackbeard, the branded warrior was indeed a very powerful existence. After all, they were super warriors who had been injected with the AE serum. They had powerful abilities that ordinary people could not have. However, the opponent they were going to face this time was Xia Lei, a super strong man who had evolved to near perfection. Since he already knew the strength of the branded army, and he had figured out the secret of the Heavenly Jewel Academy. What was he waiting for? Tonight, kill him until he's in a complete mess. He would get rid of the few key figures who controlled the Heavenly Jewel Academy, the Black Sheep, and turn the Heavenly Jewel Academy into the true mainstay of humanity's struggle. Their eyes met. How could Huang Kai know what Charlotte was thinking? Charlotte gave him a thumbs up, and a disdainful smile appeared on Huang Kai's face. He then gave Charlotte the middle finger. Charlotte did not care about Huang Kai's provocation. He turned and walked away from the guardrail, heading towards his office. Kong Tu Nana followed him. You still have the mood to solve problems? Of course. Charlotte smiled and said, one thing is another. The problems that Teacher Bai Ling gave me are problems that have troubled the Academy's academic world. They are related to the development of human technology. If I can solve them, why shouldn't I? Do you think I care about that despicable Huang Kai insulting me? I have a big heart, and I don't care about it at all. Kong Tu Nana's eyes flashed with a strange light, and the corners of her mouth curled into a smile. You're such a strange person. You could be an unparalleled hero, but why do you act like a pervert and a pervert? Charlotte turned back to look at her voluptuous breasts, a mischievous smile on his face. You haven't slept with me before. How do you know I'm a pervert? Why don't we sleep for a while, and you can confirm whether I'm a pervert or not. I'm very powerful. Go to hell. Kong Tu Nana turned and walked away. She had originally had a good impression of him, but in the blink of an eye, he had personally destroyed that good impression. Charlotte gave a bitter smile. If I don't ruin my image, you will fall in love with me. I can't resist the temptation to sleep with you, and if I do, I will have to break up with you in the future. At that time, I will have to hurt you. I'm sorry. The office quietened down. Charlotte sat in front of his desk, solving problems while planning his actions for the night. In his mind, the scenes he had seen, the places he had been, and all the brainwaves that he had obtained with the power of branding appeared in his mind. Then, his brain automatically deduced all the information he had obtained and came up with a detailed action plan. At night, the devil would awaken. Chapter 1474. In the interior of the volcano, there was no difference between day and night. The reason why there was day and night was merely a biological signal released by the human body clock to indicate that they needed to sleep. Huang Kai did not sleep. He had just finished working on a female student and had vented to his heart's content. The female student was lying beside him. Her body was full of bruises from being slapped and pinched, and there were still traces of tears at the corner of her eyes. She closed her legs tightly, trying her best to cover the place that had been violated. She did not want to arouse Huang Kai's bestial desire again, pouncing on her and venting again. To her, that feeling was no better than death. What are you still lying there for? Go back. Huang Kai got up from the bed, not even bothering to look at the female student. Go back and take a shower, then have a good sleep. Remember, don't tell anyone about what happened tonight, or else you'll be fed to the fishes. The female student's body suddenly shivered. She nodded, then got up, hastily put on her clothes, and left Huang Kai's residence. Huang Kai poured himself a glass of red wine. As he savored the red wine, he recalled the process of venting just now. He did not know why, but he could not help but compare Kong Tu Nana with the girl he had just F***ed. Their noses were not noses, and their eyes were not eyes. Kong Tu Nana was tall, sexy, and had the unique, valiant temperament of a soldier. This was not something a female student could have. Conquering a woman like Kong Tu Nana, just the sense of accomplishment of conquering her was enough to excite a man, let alone F***ing her on the ground. It was this comparison that made the pleasure from before disappear, replaced by resentment and anger. Huang Kai drank the glass of red wine fiercely, then spat, "Damn it, bitch. I will soon become a military officer of the Branded Legion. At that time, even if you take off your pants and let me F***ck you, I won't F***ck you. And that brat, when he solves that problem, I will kill him. I will cut him into pieces and feed them to the fishes one by one." Yo, how much hatred does it take for you to say something like that? A man's voice suddenly came from a fork in the tunnel. Huang Kai was startled by the sudden noise, but he reacted quickly. He raised his hand and smashed the wine glass in his hand at the entrance of the fork in the tunnel. At the same time, he flew towards the pile of clothes. This quick reaction was only because he was very familiar with the voice. It was Charlotte's voice. Whoosh! Before Huang Kai could reach the pile of clothes to grab the weapon, Isho suddenly flew out from the tunnel and hit the back of Huang Kai's head. Bang! There was a dull thud and a puddle of blood. Huang Kai's body instantly lost the strength to charge forward, and he fell to the ground with a boom. However, this stone attack that smashed open a person's head did not affect his fighting strength. After falling to the ground, his hands gently pushed against the ground, and his body left the ground and stood on the ground again. Charlotte walked out of the tunnel and faced Huang Kai. His face was expressionless and very calm, but this calmness was filled with disdain and indifference. Huang Kai glared at Charlotte. "Damn it! Why did you come to my house? What do you want?" Charlotte said passively, "I came to have a chat with you." "Talk to me? Are you King sick?" Huang Kai reached out to touch the back of his head, and as he did so, blood came out, and he exploded in anger. "Bleeding? Bastard! How dare you hit me? Do you believe that I won't kill you?" Charlotte smiled and said, "I do, but do you believe that I won't kill you?" "Kill me? Oomph! Ha ha ha!" Huang Kai laughed in anger. "If this was outside, I believe that you would have the guts. However, this is the Heavenly Jewel Academy, my territory. Here, only I can kill you, and you can't kill me. Is that so?" Charlotte took a step towards Huang Kai. Huang Kai did not retreat. Instead, he sneered, "There's a surveillance camera in this room that I install myself. Everything you said just now was recorded. Just based on that stone you threw at me, and your words about killing me, I can kill you. Then what are you waiting for?" Charlotte said, "Kneel down and apologize to me. Count out 3 times, and I will spare you. What happened tonight will not be leaked." Huang Kai said, "Not afraid at all." Charlotte said, "You were waiting for me to solve that problem, right? After that, you can get rid of the side effects of the AE solution. You, Tang Sheng and Roland are all waiting for me to solve the problem, right? Before I solve the problem, you'll not kill me, right? But once I solve that problem, you won't hesitate to get rid of me, right?" Huang Kai looked at Charlotte coldly. "You are right, so what? Your biggest mistake was coming here. Even if you don't understand the problem, you still have to solve it. Why bring so much trouble for yourself? If you solve that problem, maybe I'll let you go if I'm happy. Kneel down, count out 3 times to appease the anger in my heart." Just as his voice fell, Charlotte suddenly punched towards Huang Kai's lower abdomen. Huang Kai was shocked. He couldn't believe that Charlotte still dared to attack him after he explained that there were surveillance cameras in his residence. He hurriedly dodged, but his speed was simply not as fast as Charlotte's. When he saw the fist, he also flew up. Boom! Huang Kai's body was like a stone thrown out by a catapult. With a whoosh, he flew toward a rock wall, fiercely hit a table, and then fell on his bed. A slight crack appeared on the rock that he had crashed into. Pooh! Huang Kai opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. He was shocked and angry, and a trace of fear quickly spread through his body. When Charlotte appeared, he actually didn't panic or fear, because he thought that Charlotte had snuck in to settle the debt in the library, and he was certain that he would eat him up. However, he didn't expect that Charlotte would attack without any hesitation, nor did he hold back. This was what made him afraid. Charlotte's punch made him understand the difference between him and Charlotte. Huang Kai's ability was at most twice as strong as Ma Kuen's, but Ma Kuen was like an ant in front of Charlotte. Charlotte walked towards Huang Kai. His eyes were terrifyingly cold. Huang Kai suddenly extended his hand and grabbed his clothes. There was an energy pistol hidden in his clothes. At this time, he couldn't care less about the problem. He was already mad with anger. There was only one thought in his mind, and that was to kill Charlotte. Charlotte didn't stop him. At least he didn't rush forward. He walked towards Huang Kai. His pace was still as calm as ever. He only took one step, but before he could take a second step, Huang Kai had already grabbed the energy pistol. Go to hell. Huang Kai roared, waving his hand to aim the gun at Charlotte. Aim and shoot, solve the problem. That was what Huang Kai was thinking, but just as he was waving his hand, he suddenly realized that his entire right arm couldn't move. There seemed to be something wrong with his brain. It felt like he was paralyzed from a stroke. Charlotte's pace was still as calm. It even looked a little elegant. Huang Kai struggled with all his might, using his left hand to grab the energy pistol in his right hand. In an instant, Huang Kai's left hand couldn't move either. Just now, half of his body was paralyzed, but in the blink of an eye, his entire body was paralyzed. Fear spread through his body like a tide. His fighting spirit, his courage, his anger, everything he had collapsed in front of that fear, vanishing without a trace. "Didn't you want to kill me?" Charlotte smiled and said, "Why didn't you shoot? What did you do to me?" Huang Kai's voice was trembling. Charlotte said, "I only did what I was supposed to do." Who are you?" "I am your grandfather," Charlotte said. This was a curse, but Huang Kai didn't even dare to say a word back. Charlotte said lightly, "I am about to enter your brain and dig out all your secrets. Then, how do you want to die?" Beastrice starred. "I am telling you, everything you are doing is being recorded by the surveillance camera. You can't escape, even if you kill me. Let me go. I will pretend nothing happened." Huang Kai still had a glimmer of hope that Charlotte wouldn't dare kill him here. Charlotte said, "I know where your surveillance camera is, but it is independent. You pervert. You often play with the girls in the college. They are human elites selected from all over the world. They came with the hope of saving humanity and rebuilding human civilization, but they are humiliated by scum like you. Not only do you humiliate them, you also secretly take videos of you sleeping with them, and then use the videos to threaten them, making them submit to your despotic power. Do you think I would be worried about such a surveillance camera?" With that, Charlotte punched the wooden headboard. With a bang, the wooden board shattered, and the surveillance camera inside the wooden headboard was smashed by Charlotte's fist. Where was the surveillance camera? How could it be hidden from Charlotte, who had the ability to see through things? During the day, Charlotte was in the library, planning his night's operation. He searched the brains of the students and scholars who entered the library for information, and then he found that the brains of several girls had memories of being humiliated by Huang Kai. Those memories contained the location of Huang Kai's home and some of the situation at home. This was also the reason why he was able to enter Huang Kai's home from the fork in the tunnel. Before he was prepared to make a move, he already knew everything here like the back of his hand. "I don't care who you are, you better calm down." Huang Kai's breathing had already become rapid. "I am a captain of the Branded Legion. No, I will soon become a military officer of the Branded Legion. If you kill me, you will become the enemy of the entire Branded Legion. Have you thought of the consequences? All right, I will use a woman's method to kill you. Take it as justice for those girls who have been humiliated by you." Charlotte grabbed a pillow. You calm down." "Ugh." Before Huang Kai could finish his words, a pillow was pressed against his face. He wanted to struggle, but his brain was unable to control any of the muscles in his body. He wanted to breathe, but there was no air entering his mouth or nose. The feeling of suffocation made his lungs feel uncomfortable, as if they were on fire. His brain was lacking oxygen, and his consciousness became more and more muddled in fear. Finally, he entered a world of darkness, a cold and eternal darkness. He was one of the 5 captains of the Branded Legion, and also the designated successor of Tang Sheng. What a glorious person, what a bright future. But now he was like a dying, paralyzed patient, being smothered to death by a pillow by Charlotte. Charlotte took the pillow away from Huang Kai's head, then turned around and left, entering the tunnel again. He did not deal with the murder scene, because he felt that there was no need to. Moreover, killing Huang Kai was only the first step of his entire plan. Chapter 1475. The titanium alloy hatch above his head slowly opened, and light shone out from the hatch. A man stood behind the hatch, staring at the corpse pit below the hatch with a dull look in his eyes. He was the person responsible for throwing the corpses, but this time he did not throw any corpses. He just opened the hatch and waited for something. A rope suddenly flew up from below, and a rope hook at the end of the rope hooked onto the floor of the spaceship. A man grabbed the rope and climbed up. He was very fast. The person who opened the hatch just watched without the slightest reaction. When the man climbed into the spaceship, he closed the hatch. "Go back and sleep," Charlotte said to the person who opened the hatch for him. His voice was low, hoarse, and full of magic. The person who opened the hatch turned and left, walking forward at a moderate pace. This was the second time he had met Charlotte. The first time was in the afternoon when he went to the library to borrow books. However, whether it was the first time or this time, he had no impression of it at all. When he woke up, he would not remember anything. To enter the interior of the spaceship, it was actually that simple for Charlotte. All he needed to do was deep hypnosis and open the hatch inside the spaceship for him to throw the corpses. Charlotte took out a bottle of blue drink from his pocket, unscrewed the cap, and gulped it down. The blue drink in the bottle was the Archimedes Princess blue milk that Langi had squeezed for him. It was the most magical milk he had ever drunk. After drinking a bottle of Archimedes Princess blue milk, the imprint of the universe hidden in the depths of his soul trembled excitedly. The power of the imprint swarmed toward his stomach, fighting for the mysterious energy that gave birth to life. Under the chemical reaction of the power of the brand and the Archimedes Princess blue milk, he once again entered that godlike state. "It feels so good. I really want to leave here and drink the milk that Langi squeezed for me every day." Charlotte craved Langi's milk. That kind of craving was like an ordinary man's craving for power. After drinking a bottle of Archimedes Princess blue milk, Charlotte entered an aisle and walked straight forward. As he walked, he released the extremely active power of the brand from his body, and it quickly spread throughout the spaceship. Wherever he went, the information of the spaceship and the brainwaves of the crew flooded into his brain. Everything was under his control. Not long after, the universe imprint suddenly trembled. The trembling was very intense. At that moment, a very strange feeling appeared in his consciousness. He was very familiar with this feeling. It was the feeling of the universe brand establishing a connection with the crystal hand bone. There was indeed a wreckage similar to a crystal skull and a crystal arm on this spaceship. Up until now, Charlotte had not managed to steal any information about the crystal fragment from any brains, including Huang Kai's. However, this was not surprising. Because he had just arrived and was not familiar with the situation here, he did not enter Tang Sheng's and Roland's brains to steal information. With Tang Sheng and Roland's status, they should know about the crystal remains. Charlotte quickly confirmed the location, then changed direction and entered another aisle. Two female crew members walked over from the other end of the aisle, chatting as they walked. "Were you in the library this morning?" "No. I know what you want to say. I regret it so much. Tell me, does this thing really look like it's carved out of jade?" "What do you mean it is?" "Let me tell you, that kid's thing is white and clean. It even feels a little transparent." "Wow, I can't help but imagine the feeling of putting that magical thing in there. Hee hee." "Stop talking, I'm getting wet." "So fast. You're really useless. But it's a pity. That kid must have offended Huang Kai. That surveillance video was released by Huang Kai. I guess it won't be long before he gets killed by Huang Kai." Sigh. The two women chatted and brushed past Charlotte. However, they did not have any reaction. To them, Charlotte was like a mass of air, invisible. This was a new ability he discovered in the library during the day when his brain was deducing actions and making plans. This ability was also obtained after his universe imprint appeared. It was just that he did not realize it before. At that time, his brain was thinking about how to avoid the dense surveillance cameras inside the spaceship, as well as the eyes of the numerous crew members. On Earth, the method he used the most was the human skin mask, but in this world, he did not have the suitable materials to make a human skin mask. The main basic material was one of them. Without the materials, he could not make a human skin mask that could allow him to change his face, so he had to think of another way. With this thought, his brain automatically deduced according to his ability. At the beginning of the deduction, no matter how much he deduced, it ended in failure. In the end, his brain also included his universe imprint in the deduction. As a result of this deduction, his brain used the universe imprint's absolute control over the imprint's energy to condense an energy soft shell on his skin. This energy soft shell not only isolated most of the refraction of light, but it could also absorb the remaining light, thus achieving an effect of invisibility under strong light. The discovery of this new ability surprised him and made him even more excited. At that time, he did an experiment, using the universe imprint to control the imprint's energy to form an energy soft shell on his body, then strolled around the library. He patted the shoulders of a few girls who turned around to look, but could not see him. This kind of prank proved the reliability of this invisibility ability. It was also one of the reasons why he dared to enter the spaceship without even changing his clothes. Whether it was the human eye or the surveillance camera, the principle of being able to capture and see things was the refraction of light. If an object did not refract light, it would not be visible, it would be invisible. The birth of this new ability, its degree of awesomeness, was not any less than the original X-ray ability. Isitabu and Kasha Ruiz also had this ability, but that was because they did not have a real body. Now that Charlotte could achieve invisibility under the circumstances of having a body, it once again proved that his path of evolution was more natural, healthier, and more in line with the rules of the universe's evolution. The two women gradually walked away. Their conversation made Charlotte very speechless. A trace of a bitter smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Casually talking about me. Didn't you think about my feelings? At the end of the tunnel was an elevator. Walking to the door of the elevator, Charlotte frowned. He saw the scanning device and the device that required a password. Other than using violence, he had no way of opening the door of the elevator. Just as he was looking for another way, footsteps and voices came from the tunnel that he came from. Charlotte turned around and saw Suya and Ma Cohen. I have already said it very clearly. No means no. Suya's emotions were a little out of control. Why not? Ma Cohen looked very angry. We have been dating for more than half a year. Other lovers would have already moved in together, but you have not done it with me even once. I am a man. Have you ever thought about my feelings? How you feel is your problem. It has nothing to do with me. I am not a tool for you to vent your lust. If you want to vent, go find another woman. What do you mean? I'm not your girlfriend. I have always seen you as a brother. Don't you understand? Ha ha ha. Ma Cohen was so angry that he laughed. After all this time, you see me as a brother. F*CK. When you first joined the branded army and needed my help, why didn't you say I was a brother? You used me, and now that you're done, you want to get rid of me? If you want to think that way, there's nothing I can do. I have already said it very clearly today. We are not lovers. Don't tell others that I am your woman. I am not, and I will never be. Suya's emotions were getting more and more agitated. Slap. Ma Cohen waved his hand and slapped Suya's cheek. Although it was his left hand, Suya was still unable to dodge it. Her cheeks suddenly swelled up, and there was a greenish-red palm print on her delicate cheek. You. Suya covered her cheek, her eyes filled with tears of humiliation. F*CK. B*TCH. Ma Cohen used his finger to point at Suya's nose. His expression was ferocious, and he said fiercely, I will give you one last chance. I will go back to my cabin and wait for you. Wash up and come over to F*CK me. Otherwise, a new round of elimination is about to begin. You know your own strength very well. Without my help, you will not be able to stay in the branded legion. You have finally revealed your true colors. Ma Cohen, let me tell you, even if I cannot stay in the branded legion and am demoted to the student armed forces, I will not lower myself to the point of sleeping with you. Suya said angrily. Hee hee. Ma Cohen laughed coldly. Don't worry, I will not let you leave the branded legion alive. You know very well how you entered the branded legion in the first place. I was the one who got rid of your only competitor. I was able to kill that pitiful fellow, and I can do the same to you. Just you wait, you will regret it. The two of them quarreled until they reached the entrance of the elevator. Suya stopped in her tracks, looking helpless. Charlotte saw anger and fear in her eyes, as well as a deep sadness. "Oomph. I will go up and wait for you now. There is only one chance. How you choose is up to you." Ma Kuan stood at the entrance of the elevator, entered the password, and accepted the scan. The elevator door opened, and he walked in. Suya did not move. She stood there like a wooden pillar. Charlotte hesitated for a second, and then stepped into the elevator the moment the elevator door opened. The movement of the elevator door covered up the sound of his movement. However, Ma Kuan was a branded warrior. No matter how weak he was, he would still be able to react to this sudden, soft noise. He cautiously looked at the blind spots on both sides of his body, and then looked behind him. He did not see anything, so he let his guard down. Charlotte was actually not behind him, but in front of him. A person's eyes were the best at deceiving others. Ma Kuan did not even consider what was in front of him, and his first reaction was to look where his eyes could not see. Motherf asterisk her, that be asterisk tch, actually dared to use me. All right, even if she comes to F asterisk ck me tonight, I will still kill her in the elimination round. Ma Kuan muttered to himself. His voice was filled with malice. Charlotte looked at him, and the image of Suya's tearful eyes appeared in his mind. His lips curled into a cold smile, and he secretly said in his heart, "Ma Kuan, you won't have that day anymore." The elevator stopped, and the door opened. Charlotte walked out of the elevator before Ma Kuan did. Ma Kuan also walked out of the elevator and then into the corridor. Not long after, he stopped in front of cabin door. The cabin door scanned him again and then automatically opened. Ma Kuan entered the cabin door, but he did not notice that a shadow had followed him into the cabin that he was staying in. Chapter 1476. Plans could never keep up with changes. In Charlotte's plan, Tang Sheng and Roland were the people he wanted to kill tonight. He wanted to liberate the Heavenly Jewel Academy and bring it back to the right track of reviving the human race. However, Ma Kuan was not on his death list tonight. Perhaps he would kill Ma Kuan, but not tonight. It would be at some other time in the future. However, when he saw Ma Kuan bullying Suya in the corridor, that scoundrel face had angered him. As such, he added Ma Kuan's name to the list at the last minute. What was this called? To Charlotte, it was just something he did in passing. To Ma Kuan, there was a path to heaven, but he did not take it. Instead, he came to hell. Ma Kuan's cabin was not big, about 5 square meters. There was a small bed, a table, and a private bathroom. The small bathroom was installed with a shower head, and he could take a shower. After entering the cabin, Ma Kuan took off his jacket and entered the small bathroom. She will come. That cowardly woman is afraid of death. I will take a shower first, and when she comes, I will F asterisk CK her to death. I will F asterisk CK her back for the past half a year, Ma Kuan said fiercely in the bathroom. He then took off his underwear and reached out to switch on the shower head. At that moment, a hand suddenly appeared on his neck. Ooh! Ma Kuan was shocked. He quickly turned around, and at the same time, his left elbow made a backward movement. However, before his left elbow could hit the person behind him, the person grabbed his left elbow and twisted his left hand behind his back. In that split second, he saw a familiar face. It was Charlotte's face. You? How did you get in? Ma Kuan asked in panic. What are you trying to do? Charlotte smiled at Ma Kuan, but did not say anything. Suddenly, he kicked Ma Kuan's leg. This kick, let alone Ma Kuan's leg, could even bend a steel pipe. Ma Kuan knelt on the ground with a thud. He wanted to call for help, but just as he opened his mouth, the hand on his neck suddenly pressed down like a mountain. Not only did it cut off his voice, but it also cut off his breathing. Voila! Charlotte forcefully pushed Ma Kuan's head into the toilet bowl. The water in the toilet bowl was yellow and smelly. Ma Kuan seemed to have forgotten to flush his toilet bowl, and now he was personally tasting his own excrement. Gulp, gulp. Ma Kuan finally finished the yellow liquid in the toilet bowl. Just as he was about to greedily take a breath of fresh air, the water in the water tank suddenly rushed out and covered his entire head. He tried to struggle, but he found that he couldn't move his body at all. Fear and despair occupied every nerve in his body, but soon he couldn't even feel fear and despair anymore. Charlotte let go of his hand, but Ma Kuan was still kneeling on the ground. His head was submerged in the water. Huang Kai died under a pillow, and Ma Kuan died in the toilet bowl. The wicked will be tormented by the wicked. Towards evil people like Huang Kai and Ma Kuan, Charlotte never had a shred of mercy, nor would he be soft-hearted. After dealing with Ma Kuan, Charlotte didn't stay in Ma Kuan's cabin. He left the cabin door and continued to walk in the direction where he sensed the crystal wreckage. Finally, he arrived at a huge round cabin door. Standing in front of this huge round cabin door, the reaction of the universe imprint was even more intense. And it wasn't just one reaction, but three. This discovery made Charlotte unable to suppress the excitement in his heart, because he knew very well what it meant. It meant that there were three crystal wreckage behind this round cabin door. Charlotte activated his X-ray vision and tried to see through the round cabin door in front of him. However, he once again tasted the taste of failure. This round cabin door was too thick, and it was made of space-grade titanium alloy that could fly at the speed of light. His vision could enter the cabin door, but he couldn't see through it. However, this didn't affect Charlotte's understanding of the situation behind the cabin door. He then placed his palm on the round cabin door. The universe imprint trembled slightly, and the power of the imprint entered the cabin door without any resistance, then spread out from the cabin door into the interior space. Wherever the power of the imprint passed through, there was a confident feedback. His brain simulated a holographic projection based on the information. This projection was in his brain, and it was extremely clear. It was a hemispherical space, about 100 square meters. In the center of the space was a transparent crystal coffin. In the crystal coffin was a crystal wreckage, a torso, and a pair of legs. The legs and torso were separated, so it was no wonder that his universe imprint had three reactions. Seeing the crystal torso and legs, Charlotte was completely stunned. When the universe imprint sensed the existence of the crystal wreckage, his heart only thought that it was probably a crystal arm bone or a foot, but he didn't expect it to be a complete torso and leg bone. If I take away the torso and leg bone, in addition to the crystal arm bone I found in the Forest of Rest, I'll only be missing the arm bone of the crystal arm bone and the other arm bone and hand bone to complete the crystal skeleton. What will happen if I gather the entire crystal skeleton? Charlotte couldn't help but think about this question. At this time, he forgot a very important question, and that was that the crystal skull might still be in Stone City, or even on Earth. The sound of footsteps came from behind him. Charlotte retracted his palms and cautiously stuck to the wall beside the round cabin door. This time, the people who appeared were Tang Sheng and 4 branded warriors. The 4 branded warriors were all unfamiliar faces, and he had never seen them before. I haven't been able to contact that guy Huang Kai. He must be playing with women again, one of the branded warriors said. Playing with women? I know that guy's taste. I'm afraid he's messing with some female students, another branded warrior said. The middle-aged man walking beside Tang Sheng didn't say anything, but he used the corner of his eyes to observe Tang Sheng's reaction. Tang Sheng said, "Carter, tell your people to shut up. I don't need this kind of hint. That guy Huang Kai is indeed lecherous, but he's still capable. He knows how to curry favor with Dean Roland and the other committee members. So, it wasn't my decision to let him take over my position. In fact, I've always thought highly of you. Thank you. The Army commander has gone to the committee, but in my heart, you'll always be the Army commander. My people and I will always follow you, and will listen to your orders at any time," the middle-aged man called Carter said. Tang Sheng smiled. "Don't worry. When have I, Tang Sheng, ever mistreated the people who follow me? One day, when I become the dean, you'll all prosper with me. Hurry up and thank the Army commander." "You guys," Carter reminded his subordinates. The other 3 branded warriors also thanked Tang Sheng, expressing their loyalty. This scene was simply a microcosm of the human world. They were already on the verge of extinction, but they were still scheming and scheming for their own interests. Getting rid of Tang Sheng here was a good choice, but just as Charlotte was about to make his move, Carter's words made him change his mind. "Army Commander, why did the dean ask you to go to the laboratory so late at night?" Carter asked casually. Tang Sheng said, "He didn't say, but I'm guessing that the results of that kid Charlotte's blood test are out." "It's just a blood test report. Is there a need for the Army Commander to personally make a trip? He just asked us to send it to the Army Commander." "Seriously?" A branded warrior complained to please Tang Sheng. Tang Sheng said, "That kid is very strange. I reckon that his blood test report is extraordinary. I reckon that the committee will also send people over. Let's go, don't talk nonsense. We'll know when we get to the laboratory." The five of them walked past Charlotte. When they passed by Charlotte, Tang Sheng stopped in his tracks and shifted his gaze in Charlotte's direction. Charlotte held his breath, and even his heartbeat was controlled to the extent that it would only jump once every 10 seconds. "Strange," Tang Sheng mumbled, retracted his gaze, and continued to walk towards the money. In terms of strength, the military officer Tang Sheng, who was also the army commander of the branded army, was naturally the strongest. When he passed by Charlotte, Tang Sheng sensed something. His intuition was very sensitive, so at that moment, he looked warily in Charlotte's direction. However, apart from a bit of strange light, he didn't see anything. Then, he let his guard down and left. It was still the same reason. People were most likely to trust their eyes and not their intuition. My blood test report? I want to see what kind of report it is. Roland is also here, so I'll let him open that hatch. Charlotte made up his mind and didn't make a move on Tang Sheng. He followed Tang Sheng and the four branded warriors to the other end of the tunnel. After passing through 2 passageways and 2 hatches, Tang Sheng and the 4 branded warriors arrived at the laboratory. It was a very large laboratory with a lot of experimental equipment and materials. This laboratory was more advanced than any laboratory that Charlotte had seen on Earth. There were already a few people in the laboratory, but Roland was not among them. A familiar face entered Charlotte's line of sight. Bailing was actually in this laboratory. She was tall and curvaceous, and she was the most eye-catching among those who had arrived earlier. After Charlotte followed Tang Sheng and the 4 branded warriors into the laboratory, in order to avoid being detected, he simply hid under a desk. Not only was he invisible, but he also had the desk as a cover. The chances of him being discovered were almost 0. Although there was a desk in front of him with his transparent eyes, the desk was like air in front of him. When Tang Sheng saw Bailing, he walked over and greeted her warmly. "Bailing, you're here so early?" Bailing said, "I came as soon as I received the notice." "Is Charlotte's blood test report out?" Tang Sheng asked tentatively. "That report should be out," Bailing said. "But I don't know if it's because of that report. If it's not because of that report, why would Dean Roland call us here? It must be. Do you know the details of that report? Can you tell me a little in advance?" "I don't know. I'm not in charge of that test," Bailing said. "I see. Then let's wait for Dean Roland to come." Tang Sheng changed the topic. "Bailing, the rain outside has stopped. It's rare for the endless ocean to have such good weather. How about we go to the island for a picnic tomorrow? I can catch some sea fish, and then we can roast them." "That? I better not go. I still have some questions to ask Mr. Xia tomorrow." Bailing declined. "It's okay. We'll go when you're free." Tang Sheng had a smile on his face, but there was a flash of hatred in his eyes. At that moment, the door of the laboratory opened again. The white-haired Roland led a group of people into the laboratory. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.